Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades.
Hey, what is happening, YouTube? What is going on? It's Gas Masks and Hand Grenades. We're back again so soon. I think we just did one of these the other night with Kellen. So I was away for a little while, but now we're ramping the content production back up. And I have my buddy here, one of my good friends. I'm going to turn the volume down a tiny bit here. I have my boy Jimmy with me. What's happening, bud? How are you, man?
Brother? It's been a little bit. It's good to see you again, man.
Good to see you, too. I'm trying to think. When was the last time we hung out? Probably
it was probably like
2 months, maybe.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last one. Maybe Black Metal Island, or I feel like there's got to be. No, I think it was the horror. It was probably Halloween.
Yeah, didn't you pop in on the Halloween stream? You were there for a little while, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the end of October. So yeah, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. So
yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah, so good to see you. And the reason we're here is we're actually doing a first on Dad series here. We are going to do a twofer, and who do we choose to work on, Jim?
Well, there's only one of a kind, nobody like him. The eclectic, omniscient, effervescent ham known as Devin Townsend. Yep.
For sure, yeah. And both of us, long-term fans. For me, I came into Devi way back, man, when he was the singer on the Steve Vai album, Sex and Religion. So I think that's 93, 94.
Yeah, that's early 90s.
Yeah, and I actually saw him with Steve Vai down at...
oh, you did? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, Hammerjacks down in Baltimore. And, I think I told you this story. I'm pretty sure I did. He was playing with Steve Vai, singing mainly, but he also played guitars on some songs. And at one point, Steve launched in. It might have been For the Love of God or whatever song Vai was doing a crazy solo on. And Dev climbed up this. Hammerjacks was a 2-level club, and the stage was at one end, and then there were these kind of open balcony areas that you could look down in, but there were multiple ones. So there were it was weird, like it was long and thin, the venue, and there were I think 3 openings and one over the stage. And I was up there, and man, I was shit hammered that night, just out of my mind drunk. And, and Dev climbed up onto the railing and was going around and was doing this, headbanging with, various people. And he got to me, and we started doing this thing where it was like, I'd go this way, he'd go that way. We'd do the headbang, but we do this. And then we went the wrong way. Bam, we smashed heads. And I mean hard, dude. Like we were headbanging hard. And it almost knocked me out. I remember just seeing like white and stars, and I could tell he was kind of shaking a little bit. And he climbed back down, and when he did, he caught his wrist on something as he was coming down, and he actually tore his rotator cuff.
Oh, wow.
He told me that later when I met him in 2018. I said, "Hey, man, do you remember this?" And he's like, "Well, I don't remember banging heads with you, but I'm sure it happened." He said, "But I do remember that what you saw there was I actually tore my rotator cuff. I finished the show, but I went out the next day or 2 days later and had to have an MRI, and I had torn my rotator cuff."
Oh, wow. So, yeah, I think you did tell me that story.
Yeah.
I just, for some reason, I thought it was with strapping or something like that.
No,
that was a Steve Vai show.
That was with Vi, crazy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Dev was, Dev's a little younger than me. I think he's 5 years younger than me, 6 years. And I would have been 22 or 20. No. I might have been 25, 24, 25. And Devin was probably 19 or 20 when that happened, man. So he was a young dude, right? Crazy. He had no hair, just that skullet sort of weird thing that he had during that period. And
pull up piss and vinegar. Yeah. Yeah. My first time I saw him was strapping, actually. And
oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, I was in Houston. I was still living in New Orleans at the time. It probably would have been like 2000, I don't know, 2 or something like that. And it was a great tour, man. It was Nile,
For which album? Was that for City?
It was for SYL when they had got back together.
Right.
Remember, because they disbanded. He disbanded it for a while, and then he put SYL back together.
Yep.
He did the SYL album, and they did they did a tour. It was Nile was the headliner with Dark Tranquility, Napalm Death, Strapping, and the Berserker. And, and it was a great lineup, and so that was the first time I got to see Strapping a couple times.
Never saw him.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like we met Devin that night and Gene Hoagland.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a killer night. Just because I go, just to preface it as well, I go back, with Devin probably about City era. I would say I first heard him like 97, 98 or something like that. And,
I grabbed City after learning about him with Vibe with Sex and Religion, which I got when it came out, and dude, I couldn't understand City at all. I could not get it.
It took a bit for me too. I mean, and I was getting into a lot of extreme metal at the time.
Oh yeah.
So it was, but it took me a while to really kind of understand the production because it's so dense.
It's so dense, which is a hallmark of everything he does. So that's not anything new, and we'll get into that. Nate, what's up, buddy?
Nate.
Yeah, the first time I would have got by Debbie by himself would have been City, and I didn't get it. And then I got Ocean Machine, and Ocean Machine is 97. And that I got hard. And that from that point forward, I saw him on, I saw him on Syncrestra, Accelerated. I saw him open for Gojira Mastodon in what was that, 16? And that would have been for Epicloud. And I saw him for Transcendence. I think there's one more in there that I'm.
Was it that tour he did? Remember, like when he first started touring really hard was probably around maybe it was Addicted, or so it would have been it was between the Buried in Me, Cynic, Devin Townsend, and
Meshuggah?
No, it wasn't Meshuggah. It was what was that name?
Mastodon.
No, it was between the Buried in Me, Cynic, Devin Townsend, and Scale the Summit.
I didn't see that because that
was the first time I ever saw him doing his solo stuff. Was that tour. And that was right when Cynic got back together and put out Trace the Air, and they toured together for that. And that was he was just really starting to kick off a lot more touring at the time.
Yes. Yeah, because he took a long break there when he had his son, and that's when he kind of put SYL to bed. So, actually, let's talk about that a little bit. So, Steve, Devin got his big break with the Vibe thing, obviously. But he had been doing a lot of other stuff, right? And so this particular dad episode is kind of weird because we're throwing a couple albums out there. And the way Jimmy and I kind of decided to do this was that, he's got a really extensive catalog and he's kind of all over the map. There's a couple albums, there's a few albums that are kind of in the same pocket. Then he does a couple albums that are in a different pocket. Then he comes back and does a couple albums that are in another different pocket. It always sounds like Devin, but there's always a lot of nuance and difference to most of his albums. And so he's almost one of those enigmas that's almost impossible to say, well, this album kind of personifies what he's all about. So what we talked about, Jimmy, was I proposed, well, what if we do a Devin solo album that was done during the Strapping period, and you chose Terria, and I chose Ocean Machine, Biomech. The thing is, I really wanted to choose Accelerated, and I think you did too, a little too, and we were kind of like, you could even go with Syncrestra to a point because those four albums are kind of very tightly wound together in many ways in terms of their shape and form and sound. They're very different from Punky Brewster or the Physicist, right? Or what's the other one? Am I missing one?
Infinity.
Yeah, Infinity. So you're looking at a guy who's got many different facets to his kind of career arc and his musical arc, and I felt like just picking one album was going to be like kind of impossible. But I will say this: we talked about this backstage. We're going to do a full-on Devin Townsend deep dive. We almost have to at this point.
Kind of have to.
Yeah, and that may be a pretty extensive deep dive, but we're going to have to get it planned out and sorted out for when I can do it, when you can do it, maybe in February or March or something like that. We'll take a look at it. So, but that's kind of where we want to go, and I really wanted to go. And this is Nate. I see what you say. Accelerate is one of your favorites, and I agree with that. But I think for me, it has some of his very best songs. Probably his best song in Deadhead. I think that song is absolutely superlative in every possible way you can write a song. Crushing, beautiful, amazing, full of depth, monstrously fucking heavy, beautiful, all those things, which are all adjectives that describe Devin Townsend's work. But I also felt like Accelerated had some weaker moments on it than maybe Terria and or Ocean Machine. And I'm not going to lie, Ocean Machine was my first album I got by him. There's a nostalgic pull there, a big nostalgic pull. And when I put it on today, it was like, wow, oh, man, I remember that hook. Oh, I remember that hook. And I haven't listened to it in a couple of years, I'm sure. But so how about you? I mean, that's kind of what we felt was maybe the best way to go about this till we got to the big one.
I thought it was a good idea to choose two or during strapping albums versus two post, because they are kind of quite different eras. You know, I mean, like you can kind of look at a lot of different eras in Devin's work, but I mean, like, you know, the period between him, all the albums that he did during strapping versus all the albums he did after he put strapping to bed, there's quite a different personality difference there, you know,
yes.
Because like, you know, once he goes to Ziltoid, which is the one that I picked tonight, and goes into the Devin Townsend project stuff, which is, you know, the key, and then going from there, you know, he had gotten sober.
Actually, that's not true though. DTP was Accelerated. That was, and that's why I also had another problem picking that one, because it was literally straddling the line. It was 2003 for DTP, but that was DTP band.
No. So it was DTB. It was Devin Townsend Band.
Oh, you said Project. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Project.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So remember he had so Accelerate Evolution and Sequester is DTB.
Right.
And then DTP is like the post, right?
Yes, so, you're right. Yep.
But like what I was saying is
right.
like, you know, it's cool for us to split those two. I do see those as two very distinct eras, because
for sure
that's when he got sober. That's when he really kind of like went
locked in, became much more positive in positivity in the music.
Right. And really just kind of like a different, you can feel the approach in his music going from when he got sober was that, you know, strapping was definitely done. And then he really kind of went forward from there into really kind of where he is right now, you know?
Right. Oh, that's right. I forgot about Casualties of Cool. I don't really know those things. I'll be honest with you. I really don't. And Physicist was kind of a, just the name like he did with Ocean Machine of his solo sort of thing.
Right.
More or less. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I will not lie. I'm not going to lie. I've never actually listened to Physicist. That's the one album of his I never checked out. Just never got there.
It's one of those records that it almost could have been a strapping album, because it has all the guys from strapping.
All the elements, yeah.
Yeah, and the same musicians. And it just, you know, I think it kind of like, he didn't really, I don't really know what happened with it. It's still a good record if you go listen to it. It's just, it kind of ranks pretty low, you know, even for him.
Yeah, we'll get to that when we do the deep dive. But so that was kind of the general thinking behind doing this thing tonight. And you mentioned that you picked Ziltoid number one, and I actually picked Epic Cloud. And very, very different sound from what we're going to talk about in the first era of Devin solo projects, essentially. And when we say solo, with the exception of Ziltoid, which he did do entirely by himself, most of the other ones have have some other musicians on, whether it be a drummer or some vocals or whatever. There are other contributors, but most of what's done has been done by Devin. So, so I guess we'll kind of get rolling, right?
Yeah, for sure.
How about you start? And you picked the album Teria, which came out in. Let me pull my notes up here.
I mean, I think that would have been 2009.
2000. What's that?
Was it 2009 or was
No,
it?
hold on. I think it's
see.
2001.
2000.
Came out November 2000, November
I'm sorry.
6th, 2001.
Wow,
Recorded-
I'm way off.
Yeah, recorded February 12th through May of 2001 at Mushroom Studios, Platinum Plus, Greenhouse Studios, Vancouver. These are all his places local to him. Came out on Heavy Devi Records, and of course Devin is the producer. I'm not sure, but I don't think he's ever been produced by anyone but himself. Yeah, so let's jump into this one. Or do we want to go? Do we want me to go first? I generally let my guests go first, but in terms of maybe continuity's sake, do you think we should start with Ocean?
Yeah, why don't you do Ocean first, just because then we can build on that with Teria, because I think
because they're very bookendy sort of albums.
Yeah, since you chose Ocean Machine.
Yeah, so I chose Ocean Machine. You want to show that one there?
Yeah, so I've got my cool Eras
Oh, look
box
at
set.
you.
This is just part 2. Now, he did 4 box sets. This is just the first, 4 or 5 records or whatever. And the only reason why I bought this box set is because I wanted Ocean Machine on vinyl. And I don't think you can really easily, you still can't find a single copy of it on vinyl. This was the only time.
Probably pretty pricey, I bet, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they never just repressed it individually. At the time, it was really the only way to get this, get it on vinyl. So
are they all vinyls or are they CD as well?
Yeah, it's just vinyl. Yeah,
okay.
But
oh, nice.
I mean,
yeah, I'll blow you up.
I'm still working. See a very young Devi there.
With the crazy skullet.
Yeah, I mean, you take this one. This was your pick, but
I'd imagine those are all sold out. I would guess, right? The box sets, I would think.
Yeah, I think these all came out. It was probably like 4 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, I remember them talking about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, let's get into this album. Ocean Machine Biomech is the second studio album after Physicist. Right? Physicist was the first one?
No. This is the first one.
Well, no. What was his first album? His first solo?
Oh, no. This is the first solo album, Ocean Machine. Physicist came after this.
Well, no. There was one before that. There was one before that.
Well, I mean, the only thing I can think of is SYL's debut.
No.
Right? I think
somebody will know in the chat.
I'm pretty sure this is because this was 1997, right? So, 1995 is Heavy is a Really Heavy Thing by Strapping Lad.
And that's Strapping?
Yeah, so this is the first solo record for sure.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? I guess I'm thinking of Cooked on Phonics, the Punky
Punky Brewster
thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm thinking of. Yeah,
that's 96. Okay,
all right. So this, it's weird because in just to show you that Wikipedia doesn't know everything, they say it's the second studio album. They're probably thinking of the Punky Brewster thing. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, Ben. Punky Brewster. The first solo album by Devin Townsend, originally released as Biomech under the name Ocean Machine. That's always confused the shit out of me. It's got Devin Townsend, Ocean Machine, Biomech. It's like, what the fuck? Figure out what you want to call it. The album was released in July 21st, 1997, via Townsend's label Heavy Devi Records. Recorded at Factory in Vancouver, Slack in Vancouver, Shithole, Headquarters Burnaby, okay, Shithole, and Musibelios in Malaga. I don't know where that's at. Anyways, came out on Heavy Devi Records, and Devin was the producer. So this album, I remember getting this probably, when a little after it came out. And I remember I got it at a place called XYZ. That was the name of the record store. And the cool thing about this store, and I've talked about it one other time, I believe, was that you could go in there and they had little, two or three little, I think it was two, little listening stations with Walkman CD players, right? And the CD case would be up on the wall, and you'd take it up. It was empty. You take it up to the dude, the guy behind the counter, usually Paul, the owner, and you give it to him, and he'd pull out from a big filing cabinet. He'd pull the CD out, and you could listen to it before before you bought it. And I remember, I don't know if I read a review in Kerrang, I think, that mentioned that this was the guy that sang on the Steve Vai album, which I love. Section Religion. There's some fucking killer songs on that album, especially In the Name of God. That song is amazing. Be still, or what is it called? In the Name of God, Be Still My Beating Heart. I think that's what it's called or whatever. And I'm like, well, yeah, man, I'm gonna. And they gave it a pretty positive, as I recall, review. And I grabbed it and threw it on. And man, right away, I just loved the sound of it. And the thing that really grabbed me about this album is this album is the fucking quintessential cruising album, man. Put this on in your car late at night when you're driving down the highway at fucking 75 or 80, man.
Absolutely.
This is the album, man.
It's a driving album.
It's a driving album, and it's just, I remembered it being a little heavier when I listened to it earlier this morning. I was like, man, I thought this was slightly heavier, but it's still crushingly heavy. But it's so melodic. It's and that cover of the album kind of says it all, man. This album sounds like you're driving underwater. It sounds like you're you're driving on the ocean. If there was like a one-lane highway on the ocean and you were just cruising at light speed, man, and the fucking ocean waves are passing you by and the creatures, the dolphins are jumping. This album sounds like that. And it's such an evocative album. The production, the way his vocals are produced, the way the guitars sound, man. The guitar is super saturated, and we'll talk about the fact that Devin he's not afraid of adding tons of effects onto things. And I will say this, he's probably one of the masters of modern production in terms of managing all those things, because sometimes when you have a super wet sound, wet versus dry, meaning wet with lots of effects versus a dry sound, like a real raw, like Aerosmith sound or something like that. Like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head of a really dry, like a 70s band that's playing just straight through a Marshall. Maybe even like in a very early, like fucking Sabbath, you're just getting the Marshall head, you're getting the fucking, or the orange or Marshall heads, and you're getting the SG and you're getting that tone. Devin does manipulate the sound a lot, but he's so good at it that it becomes part of the fabric of the music with his production and the way he manipulates delay and reverb. I mean, he uses these spacious reverbs that sound like you're floating in the fucking sound. It feels like you just go swimming in these songs a lot of the time,
sure.
Right? And so you got a song like Seventh Wave that kicks in, man, and it's just balls heavy. That open C tuning, that's what Dev plays in, open C, which allows you to do these really cool intervallic octave things that sound really crushingly heavy, but also very melodic. And the guitar tone has this watery, washy, ethereal sound that washes over your ears and ebbs and flows. The chorus is absolutely killer on this. I don't know the lyrics off the top of my head because it's been a couple years. But it's the vocals. Another thing that's a hallmark of Devin is these huge vocal hooks, man. They're just ethereal. They're like larger than life. They come at you and they just fucking, it's almost like they're attacking you, but they wash over you like a warm narcotic buzz or something like that, right? Not that I would know anything about that, but I might. But anyway. But yeah, man, huge vocals stacked all over the song. Again, I cannot emphasize more how massive Devin's productions sound. They just sound huganic. for lack of a better word. They just sound massive and epic. So you get into Life. Super cool melodic guitars, while they're heavy, are even poppy. There's a lot of poppy elements to a lot of these songs. That's the one that goes, "We are with who we are, who we are." Sorry, I forget. The other one was, I forget the chorus to, "I'll wait for the ocean to rise up and drown me." I forget how it goes off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's Seventh Wave. Yeah.
Yeah, Seventh Wave. But that, that super synth affected voice, the bass is really punishing on Life, but it's very poppy, man. It's a very pop structured song. And when he gets into that chorus, that wait, who we are, it's like you're just drawn in, man. You just want more of it, right? And then you get to Night. Oh man. Oh, this is the song right here that if I was cruising down a highway,
yeah, that's the driving song
in the fucking dark, I want to crank this song till my fucking eyes start to bleed. I want the pain of the volume and the road, the hum of the road beneath me to just drive me, man. It's just the driving song. Chuggy, riffy, dark ride through the city streets at night. Speeding, super riffy and catchy as hell. That rain down on me. It's just fucking killer. Night. I just did that one. Hide Nowhere. Super bottom heavy riffarama. But these riffs are full of swagger and bravado and beauty. Those the OOOs on this song are totally amazing. I love this song. It's cinematic, man. It's cinematic. That's what Devin does so well. He creates a movie in your mind with the music that he writes. It's just what he does. And he's probably, if not the best at it, he's certainly one of the very best at it, right?
Yeah.
Sister. It's a kind of an interlude song.
It's a great interlude.
It's a weird, almost unsettling, strange, soupy. It feels like you're swimming in the ocean, and you've got
it really showcases the soundscapes on that track,
Yeah, and again, like you feel like you're in the ocean swimming, and you have no points of bearing as to where you can set foot on land to get to be safe, right? So there's an element of danger in that song, in a weird way. It sounds soothing and calming, like that narcotic sort of blanket, but it also has that, how am I going to get out of this? Like, how am I going to put my feet down somewhere, right? And but I dig that track a lot. And then you got 3 a.m., which is that dreamy, narcotic laden, swirling sort of thing. And then, man, you get the Voices in the Fan.
Yeah, and the way that track leads into Voices in the Fan is perfect, man. It's so the 3 a.m. into Voices in the Fan is like,
it's that perfect segue, right? That perfect swirling segue. And then you get to that, and you get to the Who's the Weakest Now? Caught Up in the Wire. I'm Already Gone. Who's the Weakest Now? It's the gray days that I'll remember the most. It's the gray days I remember the most. Yeah. It's just so fucking epic, man. Yeah. I mean, just a chorus to die for, man. Just to die for, right?
And that's a driving song too, for sure.
That's another one. Yep. And it's funny when you think of that Voices in the Fan. If you think about when you were a kid, if you get up close to a box fan and you speak into the fan, it would get that sort of distorted, like deflected. You get that what's that effect thing? That something effect, Doppler effect, right? That like the sound is moving in your headspace, right? And what an apropos sort of song title, because that's how this song feels, Yeah. But again, the verses are like that. But then you get to that fucking epic chorus, and it's that, it's the great days I remember the most.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm gonna probably sing some tonight, but
I'll sing with you, man.
All right, cool. Greetings, super cool Enigma-like vocal samples in there. Lots of
Regulator. What about that one? Oh, Greetings. Okay, yeah.
When you get there, yeah. So you got that cool arpeggiated riff that starts it out, super catchy. Again, reminds me of Water. Super orchestrated and over the top, crazy sonically. And then you get Regulator, man. Another driving song, man.
Yeah.
Like another fucking, and not only that, another headbanger. If you're at a show and you're playing this, man, you are fucking slamming. You are looking for an aneurysm, right? That's what you want. The massive it's an almost strapping song. That's probably his most strapping song on the album.
Yeah.
Huge monster riffs. Also has a ton of of huge vocals on it. Skull pounding, massive, super fucking badass chorus. I can't do it, man. I can't scream like him, but I'm regulated, no meantime at all. And you're just like, man, it's just crushing, man. So crushing.
And it's so simple too, like the riff. It's just
pretty much
so effective, you know.
Pretty much, yep. And really playing in that C tuning, as great a guitar player as Devin is, and he is a fucking massively killer guitar player. Most of his really hooky, catchy stuff are fairly simple riffs. They're fairly simple. He's got the chug, the way to manipulate the chug into certain time signatures or certain grooves that you're just like, yeah, man, give me more of that shit. Mainline that stuff for me. Funeral has a happy vibe, like the sun rising on a cool, crisp morning. That's a gorgeous and lush song. Yeah, it's a gorgeous and lush song. The Death of Music, that droning opening. Dude, this fucking struck me. I had to look at the dates on it. How much? I know you're just new to Fates, right? You were just starting to jump into them last couple of weeks. Did you check out Disconnected?
I haven't gotten to that one yet. No, I kind of derailed after I was
The very first song, the opening song on that. I think it's called Disconnected. No, is it Disconnected? I'd have to look. I should know this. That's terrible. I don't know this. Hang on. There's a reason I'm bringing this up. Because I want you to listen to The Death of, and then go listen to the opening song on where are you? There you go. Disconnected from 2000. Now that's 3 years after this album came out. And the very first song, man, is called You Son of a Bitch. Why'd you do that? Hold on. Fucking bastard. It's called, where the fuck is it? I had him up. Where'd it go?
You also passed up Bastard.
Did I?
Yeah, that's probably my favorite song on the record.
God damn it. I can't fucking find. Oh, god damn it. I keep going into Discogs. I don't want to.
You said it's just the first song on Disconnected?
Yeah, can you look it up, man?
No worries. I could do that. Yeah, Bastard, man. Oh, man, that song hits me every time.
No, I didn't get there yet. Funeral. Oh, yeah, I did miss it. Yeah. Yes. Oh, Bastard. Super long, lush, amazing track. So over the top, but gripping, man. It's just a gripping fucking track. But Death has that very first song. He has that where he's just letting that note ring out almost like it's not, but he's got the delay and the fucking reverb and the phasing such that the note just hangs, man. It hangs in the air. And I swear to God, Jim Matheos had to have pulled that song. Did you check it? Did you find it?
Yeah, well, it's the first song on Disconnected. It's just Disconnected Part 1.
Yeah, it's Disconnected Part 1. That's what I wanted to say, but I didn't want to sound stupid because I was also thinking of So Tired. But yes, listen to that very beginning, man. It's so haunting, so eerie, so like spooky, right? That's how this song starts. And then, like I said, Jim Matheos and Fates Warning had to have heard this song and kind of stole that. But the rest of it has a weird, almost swing-like to it. The rest of the song has like a poppy, almost swing. Like the chug is like do 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 do. It's almost like this kind of almost danceable in a weird, strange way, which is very bizarre, right? At its core, the plunking piano in it. You've got my only complaint, I think, is this one drones on a little too long. I would have maybe chopped 2 or 3 minutes off this song. I just think it goes a wee bit too long.
Yeah.
And it goes so over the top. It's extremely progressive and proggy. The end of the song is just, in a weird way, it might be slightly too ambitious for its own good because it just is so, there's so much to take in by the time. And another thing to mention about Debbie around this time, we're talking early to mid 90s. Every band, every artist, the labels are pushing them for as much material as possible. So they're loading up CDs now because they don't have to fit into the album format of 45 minutes. They're now pushing the envelope of how much music can go on an album. And so that's the only criticism I have of this album. I think it's 72 minutes long, I think. Is that right? Yeah, 73, 52. 74 minutes long. And as much as I love it, as much as it captivates me 98% of the way, by the very end of it, I was like, man, whoo, this song is really going on a long time. And that's the one. Death would be the one that carries on quite a long time.
Yeah, to me, that was the track that kind of felt kind of out of place for the record. Like,
yeah.
It deviates a bit and kind of disrupts the flow for me. It's still a good song. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And you also got to remember, like, before you get to the last track, is that, like, he had a hard time finishing this record because he didn't really have, like, he was trying to, like, he was still just kind of starting out, and, like, had strapping going, wasn't really sure in which way he was going. And Ocean Machine was a difficult record for him to finish. Like, he had to go to some studio in Denmark or something like that. I don't remember the exact story, but it's a fascinating story if you could ever find. If you go look up Devin Townsend's podcast on YouTube, he does a breakdown of all of his early records and he tells the whole story. It's a really fascinating story about this record because it almost didn't even happen because he couldn't fucking finish it.
Yeah. Mark, what's up, dude? Good to see you here. That's right. You're in Canada. And, we talked about that maybe before you popped in, that this is a driving album, man. It is one of the quintessential perfect driving albums of all time. There's so many songs. The whole album is perfect for driving, but there's, songs like Night and Life, and they get in your head and you just want to go, man. You just want to go. And I don't know about anybody else, but driving for me is often very therapeutic. It allows my mind to kind of quiet down. I kind of focus on the surroundings and the music, and I just sort of channel my brain a little bit because I have very much an ADHD brain the older I get. And it's one of those things where it's like one of my favorite things to do is to go to a show, and whether it's Philly or New York or Baltimore, and late at night I'm driving on the highway, generally pretty much alone, and just have the music like this cranked, and I'm a machine. I'm like focused, right? It's like I can kind of quiet, not the voices, just quiet the noise. It's just me and the music and the wheels connected to the physical art of living, of feeling alive, So, for me, Things Beyond, the most stripped down and cool as fuck track on here, mostly just a showcase for Dev's vocals and plaintive guitar. He vacillates between crooning and screaming, really at the very end, and really emotionally charged. Just an amazing track to end things on. It's also one of the shorter tracks, as I recall. I give this like a 9.75 out of 10. There are a couple synth sounds that sound a little bit cheesy, like the piano bit in Death Of is a little annoying to me. Just a little, it sticks out as one of the like sore thumb moments, but that's about it. There's the drum sounds. I don't know. Does it say in there whether, I didn't look to see who the drummer was? Did he have a drummer, or was he using?
Yeah, he had a guy named a guy named Marty Chapman who died. Okay. I don't know who he is. I've never really heard of him.
But there's definitely a lot of synth drums on here too. There's not synth. What am I saying? Digital drums on here, but there are drums that you can hear that are drums. That would be my only other small criticism. The overall songwriting, the guitars, the orchestration are stunning. The production is just fucking amazing. Dev's crazy vocals and guitar playing are all amazing, and they hold up very well. This album really holds up well. When I listened to it today, I was like, wow, man, I fucking forgot just how much I love this album. And, I need to not let it go 3 or 4 years before I listen to it again, because I need to get it out. I'm going to DC tomorrow night. This might be making the trip for the drive home. Probably will. So how about you? Why don't you tell me about your perceptions of this album, even though you were kind of interjecting some. Tell me what you got.
Oh, Ocean Machine. Okay. Yeah. I mean, and it's my first dad episode, so kind of like learning as I go. But yeah, man, I mean, like it's a mainstay. I mean, this is a desert island record for me. I would say beyond Death of All the Death of Music is kind of the only track that I could sort of do without. It's not a bad track. I still like it. It just felt kind of like it's the one song that kind of disrupts the entire flow of the rest of the record for me. I mean, I pretty much agree with.
I agree.
What's that?
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of other than it disrupts the flow a little bit, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, it's kind of amazing that this is his first like true like solo album, and like everybody knows what a genius producer and just soundsmith that this guy is. That he was from the get go that good.
Yeah,
it feels like to me. I mean, this record could go toe to toe with anything he's doing currently as far as
for sure
the sound and the mix of it. But I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, like there's so many classic songs. I mean, I agree with everything. It's a driving record. It's a very contemplative record.
Yeah,
and it's we're not quite into the phase where like he's gotten all like, he starts to get a little crazy with some stuff and in the head as well. But I've lived with this record since probably the late 90s. And when we were talking about it, when I said 2009, I meant to say 1999 is what I was thinking. But anyway, it was a few years before that. It just goes to show you how long this thing's been in there. And I can't believe how fast time has gone by. But yeah, man. I mean, like there's so many great moments on this thing. But it feels to me like it retains that feeling of, he's very good at moods and feelings and like, one thing we'll learn about Devin as we go forward is that, man, like he's like the king of like emotions. I mean, he pushes every single button.
Yep.
When it comes to any emotion you could think of. I mean, when he's funny, he's
hysterical.
one of the funniest comedians I've ever heard.
Yep.
When he's angry, it's the angriest shit I've ever heard.
He's scary. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When he's sad and depressive and contemplative.
Yeah, he's an incredibly evocative artist.
I mean, like I can't listen to Thing Beyond Things without tearing up. I mean,
he creates moods.
Yeah, I mean, very much so. Yeah, and I feel like this album, like it really starts off like with kind of a more positive feeling, and it kind of slowly like devolves and it kind of goes up again, and then it gets really. I find like Funeral and Bastard to be two of my favorite songs on the record. Still pretty downtrodden, and kind of. But really, like those are kind of songs that I could really like, not necessarily gonna make you cry, but it's just like, god damn, they're just so hard, especially Bastard, man. Just the riff on that, like it's so like, man, it just pierces you, it just gives you those goosebumps. Well, this is like the definition of earworm.
I think the thing, maybe the word, my word, and maybe you'll agree, is that Dev is incredibly visceral. He gets to the heart of whatever that thing is that he's wanting to try to create. So if it's Night with that almost panic anxiety feeling, like I said, driving through the city at night, and maybe like I could envision driving through the city at night, like on a summer night where maybe you're in a bad part of town where there's a lot of really unsavory characters, where you're really like worried, sweating it, that your life is in jeopardy, right? It just has that feel. But then you get to another song like Funeral, which I actually think it kind of feels way more uplifting than I expected it to, because the title is like, well, this is going to be pretty dark and dank. It actually isn't as dark and dank as I would have.
It's not. It is like in a different way, like the lyrics, like whereas the song is, that's another driving song, really.
Yeah, Yeah. As I said, this one, Funeral, actually has sort of an almost happy vibe to it. Now, I didn't read the lyrics, so maybe that would help put me in a different mindset. It's hard when I do these albums and I'm trying to slam them all in. I can't always follow the lyrics. I don't generally follow lyrics. And as I've gotten older with my ADHD, it's harder for me to even do that. But yeah, it's just, Dev is just such a visceral picture painter. He paints these, he has these huge canvases, and he paints the pictures with lots of washes of color with his vocals and the stacking and the layering and the saturation on the guitar and the wet vibe of a lot of his guitars, where it's not just a straight up dry distortion sound. It's this crazy reverb with lots of very ambient delay. And that's his whole thing, is that whole ambience is involved in almost every one of his records. You know, you can definitely spot, I will say to one extent, Dev has a very recognizable sort of production style, particularly with his own material in specific. But yeah, go ahead. You were getting down into the tracks there.
Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, you pretty much described everything pretty good. I mean, like, I feel like, you know, as we'll find going forward with most Devi albums, is that there's a certain mood, you know, to every single song, and I think, yeah, dude. I mean, like, Regulator. I mean, it's cool too, because if you go back, like, back during this era, you'll see a lot of footage of him playing with all the strapping guys,
Right.
but they would do the Devin stuff, you know, and
Yeah.
like, so like there's footage of them doing, you know, Regulator and Hide Nowhere and Seventh Wave, and I don't know, I never understood why he didn't, you know, make Night like a live staple, because that, I feel like that song should always
Oh
be
yeah, that would be
live
perfect.
set.
Yeah.
I mean, if he ever does anything from this album, it's usually Regulator or Seventh Wave or Life. I think those are the three that he usually does. So if you are a fan of this record, and if you don't already have this or have a means to get Ocean Machine live at the Ancient Roman Theater in Plovdiv.
Wow.
Plovdiv.
Yeah, I remember when that came out. He does the whole album.
Oh, dude, he does like 2 sets. Like the first set is like 11 songs, and then the second set is the Ocean Machine in its entirety.
Wow.
And you know, for me, I've never seen him perform things like Funeral and Bastard and Voices in the Fan and Things Beyond Things. I mean, those are songs that you never hear him play. So this is a fantastic Blu-ray. I mean, the sound is awesome. They play this crazy venue in
I'll have to hunt that down.
I think it's Greece. But man, this is so worth getting if you're a fan of this album.
Plovdiv, I thought Plovdiv was Poland.
I think it's no, it's Ancient Roman Theater Plovdiv.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's Bulgaria. It's Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. Okay. Yeah. Sounded more European than Greece.
As you can see, but it's quite the set list. I mean,
I'll have to look that one up. I'll have to see if I can. I'm sure it's on YouTube, I would imagine, by now.
It might be. Yeah, I think he did this right around when he did Transcending, but he brings back the bass player that played on this record. That
Okay.
It's kind of an unknown guy that he was friends with like back in the day. Yeah. J.R. Harder.
Okay.
I don't think this guy's done a whole lot else that's very notable, but
well, we're on to you, and
Okay.
we're going to talk about Terry again. Keep in mind that during this period of time, Devin is doing his solo stuff, and he's also doing and writing the bulk of and recording the bulk of the Strapping Young Lad albums. Now they weren't super prolific. They did 4 albums, right? Is it 4?
SYL? Yeah, I guess there's what, 5 albums, 6
5?
albums, something like that. Yeah, but remember he disbanded it for a few years after City. He wasn't doing it for like 3 years, and then he put it back together. I think in 2001 as a response to 9/11, because he felt the rage again.
Yeah, they have 5. Heavy has a really heavy thing, which is not that great. City, SYL, Alien, and New Black. Yeah,
New Black. Okay, yeah 5. Okay.
I need to get those. I had City and I got rid of it like an idiot. An OG. I'll have to look around for that. But the SYL, Alien, and New Black, people made me burns of it, and I just never felt compelled to go get it. I always struggled a little bit with it. I'll have to go back to it and see if I can.
Go back to Alien for sure. Alien's the best one out of those later.
Is it?
Later
Okay.
records. To me, it is.
But the point is that while he's kind of doing these albums, he's interspersing it with SYL, which, you know, the SYL material is far more angry and bitter, and I don't want to say hateful, because I'm not sure that Dev wrote hateful songs, although that one song, didn't he do a song called Rape that's on one of the albums?
Yeah,
that was a big,
yeah,
that was kind of a big thing with regards to like now how that would be taken.
Right.
Rape song, yeah. I think that there's a there's a juxtaposition in what you're hearing in these solo albums. Ocean Machine, Teria, Accelerated, which is DTB, and then you've got which is 2003, and then you've got before that you got Synkestra, which I forget when that was. That
That was probably 07 or
that was a little later. You're right. That was
or maybe
later.
It was 06, something like that.
Yeah. But it was 06. You're right, because I saw him open for Opeth actually on that tour, and I just remember the one song. There's like a polka song on that album. What's it called?
Yeah,
what's it called?
Was it
Vampira?
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah,
Vampira. Yeah, that is like.
That's the one where he's got the video with they're all dressed up like Halloween. He's
yeah. And that was funny to watch them do that night. Yeah. I could have met him that night, but he was kind of surrounded by a lot of people, and I just ended up not really meeting him until 2018. But and he was just as I envisioned, such a nice, cool dude, man. Very appreciative and very much a fan of having fans. You know what I mean? So go ahead, jump into Terry real quick. The album came out November 6, 2001, recorded February 12th through May of 2001 at Mushroom Manland, Bedlam, Platinum Plus, and Greenhouse Studios in Vancouver. This one, again, is 73 albums, so only 1 minute shorter. It came out on Heavy Devin Records, and producer was Dev, of course. So give us your rundown on this one, Jim.
Yeah, for sure. This is kind of like where I sort of come into Devin Townsend because, like, let's see. So this was, I know you just said it. So this was 2001. Okay.
Yeah. Winter of 2001.
Yeah. And I had, like, when I was playing music back in the day, like one of the guys I played with, a guitar player, he was huge into Devi and strapping. And I had, like, listened to strapping, and it took me a little while to really appreciate him. But when this came out, Teria, he brought it to the practice room one night. He had just gotten it in the mail and played it. And that, I think this is like kind of where Devin Townsend clicked for me. And I had not heard Ocean Machine yet.
Oh, okay.
That was the com. And eventually, as soon as I was into this, I was quickly on to Ocean Machine, but started to listen to City a lot more and started to get it, you know. But I don't know, there was something about Teria that just kind of spoke to me in a way. So this is the original, like, Inside Out, like 2 CD, and you can tell this is like from those days because it has like the disc 2 has like a multimedia section that you can.
Put in your computer.
You put it in your computer, and it had it's got a Tokyo set from 1999.
Oh, nice.
It's all just tracks from Ocean Machine and Infinity.
Yeah, now they just give you a download code.
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
Yeah, or a link or something like that, right?
I wonder, like, this CD is probably like scratched to hell. I don't even know if you could see it.
I can't tell,
but yeah, man. And then I later got the the vinyl with the box set. I was really pissed off because it came with these nasty seam splits.
Oh shit!
See that? Yeah, awful.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, man. I mean, yeah, this is kind of like, I mean, when we made the decisions to pick these records, I could have easily picked the Ocean Machine or this one. Any given day, I would say
we kind of were a bit. I'm surprised I didn't say let's do rock paper scissors because I would have done the same thing.
Yeah,
but I was kind of. I mentioned it first, and you're like, "Yeah, I'll take Terry." Then you were pretty gracious. I should have given it to you, but either way, we were likely going to talk about these two albums.
It was actually fine for me because, I mean, like, on any given day, I would pick this as my favorite Devin Townsend record, and especially being as that where it really, like, I really came into his stuff with this, and I think, I mean, in a lot of ways, this is like, so he did Ocean Machine, he'd already done City, and then he did Infinity, and then he did Physicist, and then he did Teria. So I think at this point, SYL is kind of done for the first period. And I feel like he really kind of, in a lot of ways, like, came into his own with the whole product, because I think using Travis Smith for the artwork really, like, lended to the music.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, the artwork. I mean, Travis Smith has done some amazing stuff, but the artwork he's done, and I'm not going to pull it all out, but I mean, the artwork he's done on this thing is perfect. And it also being like kind of a precursor to my own discovery of wilderness and nature and things like that. This is his Canada album. This is his tribute to
Homage to home.
landscapes.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only just home, but like landscapes and nature.
Well,
Go ahead.
very earthy. It's very
Yeah,
earthy.
very
This
earthy.
album just has that earthy vibe to it.
Yeah, and it's like, so whereas like Ocean Machine was water,
Mm-hmm.
I think Infinity was like sort of like air, and then Physicist was like space. I think and then he said this one was Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, like, so like, but the cool thing about it is though, like, in a lot of ways, this is another. There's a lot of driving songs on this one as well, similar to like Ocean Machine.
Yep, for sure.
But it does evoke sort of the immensity, like in terms of like his sound. It's quite expanded here, and it does evoke that sort of immensity of mountains or just huge landscapes,
Large spaces of land. Yeah,
right. And we also see him, and I think he's done this before, but I especially felt it this way, that I think he like uses themes. So like, for example, like a mountain is sort of like a metaphor for like what he's like going through at the time.
Yep.
So, and I'll get into that. So, it starts off with Olives, which is like kind of an intro track, and it's a great track because it like kind of just introduces you and says, come on in, have a seat.
It's kind of funny. It's got a weird sort of lumbering.
I love that. Yeah, it's kind of a.
And then you got all the dialogue and the swirling voices and the.
Yeah, I feel like he was thinking of like Snuffleupagus or something like.
Yeah. There you go.
That sort of like lumbering sort of. Walking in, here's an olive for your drink, kind of thing.
Or maybe a woolly mammoth going back in time.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
wasn't.
It's a very sort of inviting kind of intro to what's to come, and then just boom, right out the gate, mountain, like, which is just this huge. I mean, just just that riff, dude. Like it's like everything is in unison. The guitar, like the synth, everything is like right together, and then his amazing vocals start coming out. And that's just a really like I didn't even know like what to think of it when I first heard of it. It's heavy, it's like it's really dense and but it's it's not metal or anything, but it it just brings in the whole thing. It does bring in that whole like I talked about, evoking that huge landscape with that huge sound. But this is like one of those tracks where I'm talking about like he's it's sort of a metaphor for what he's gone through, because like if you read his lyrics, like toward the end he's saying it's just another mountain over and over again, as if you're like driving, and if you're driving in Canada, you probably see hundreds of mountains. So
of course,
it's just another mountain, but that's not really what he's saying. He's talking about like how he's like in and out of the psychiatrist office and having to take medication, and it's just another mountain is like almost just another hurdle that he has to get over, or another day that he has to get through.
Great metaphorical reference,
and that really, like, a lot of his stuff is like that, as we'll see going forward. But Earth Day, man, just that's a live staple, and there's some humor in there. This is what he's let his humor come out before, but there's, as introspective of a record there is a lot of humor in it as well, and absurdity. Like, and I feel like he's starting to feel like he's comfortable with letting his absurdity out in a way, with the Earth Day's got some great, eat your beats, it's
God, when he does recycle, recycle, you're just like, what the fuck, man?
And it's like, he's almost kind of being like, and I've heard him talk about this, that he's like kind of almost being antagonistic about it as well, about like, recycling, keep the earth the way it should, but it's still it's a great song, and it's got just the right amount of, like, it's really loud and in your face, and it's got like a lot of dynamics to it, like kind of goes down, and it has, I don't know how to describe like his vocal style, but it's just, I don't know, man, just so catchy and fun. Deep Peace is probably one of my favorite songs he's done of all time. This is a beautiful song, man, just absolutely great. It's one of those ones that he's just like, it makes me like feel good. Like when he's just talking about, hey man, if you ever need me, man, I'll be there for you. Kind of just, I don't know what he's really singing about, but it's just, it's a nice, really just soft, kind of introspective Devi. And it goes into some of the most amazing guitar playing.
Yes.
The solo like that he closes out with, it's like very operatic kind of song because it really
It
builds.
very much is. Yep, you got it.
I mean, it starts very soft, and it
He's
really
almost doing a little bit of Ingve here. It's not quite Ingve, but it's about as close as he gets to neoclassical soloing ever.
Man, I mean, it's just and that's it's very neoclassical, very. I mean, this is where he really shows his chops as a lead guitar player. Not that he's not done that before, but I mean, like this is really like a definitive statement for his guitar playing, I think. And but it's a deeply emotional song. I think it's a deeply personal. It's a very personal song for me, and it's just I feel a deep piece from it. I think it's just like he's always really good at honing in on what something, like we've talked about, what it feels like, with the words. And dude, continuing on to Canada, that's the rolling. It's another driving song, Canada, man. It's just like it's I think this is really the defining statement of the concept of the record is he's talked about, driving through Canada. And this is and this song feels like he's talking about his home and just going back home. And it's just like there's a comforting feeling about just talking about I'm ready to just go back home. And a lot of the words talk about the immensity of Canada. And it's an immense feeling track. It's like got a real plotting kind of another snuffleupagus kind of mammoth kind of vibe to just walking slowly. It's got just a great feeling to it, Down and Under. It's another one of my favorite tracks. This is just like one of those little tracks like right in the middle. No vocals, but man, just the melody in this is just perfect, and it sounds like it's called Down and Under. It does kind of have a sort of Aussie kind of Australian sort of sound. If there was something like, even said like he composed it in Australia with Gene Hoglan.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, and that song, it just, man, it's just got such a good feeling to it. It's just a positive,
super uplifting. Yep.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's just like, and it builds and yeah.
He's even got a little bit of what sounds like slide guitar. It might not be, but it just has a little bit of a vibe of slide in there. Yeah.
And it's got a lot of weird, just like it sounds like somebody speaking like French in the background or something. It's like weird voices and stuff. And
there's a lot of vocal samples that run throughout this whole album. Like
there is. Yeah,
bubbling underneath everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so like the second half, the Fluke. Man, this is a great song. I love this song, and it just like it's got kind of a sort of a, I don't want to say like a. It's just a rockin' vibe, kind of a pop rockin' kind of deal.
I think personally, this is the most Ocean Machine-like song on the album.
Sure, yeah,
it's got that vibe and carryover of Ocean Machine. Could have been a track he had that he might have wanted to use on that and wasn't ready or wasn't finished and brought it over to here. It's the most Ocean Machine-y sounding song on the album.
It's a big sound song, it's a big kind of driving, like got a good beat to it. Like I always thought, like, I didn't even know if that was him singing at the beginning because he sounds quite different.
Yeah, he does. You're right.
He almost sounds like he got some pop singer to sing that part or something.
That's a major over-the-top kitchen sink song, man.
Yeah,
everything's happening on that.
But it gets big, and he starts, getting some screams in there, and it just builds really, really huge,
Yeah.
Great stuff. Man, Nobody's Here. I mean, this is where the album kind of starts to devolve and kind of go a little bit different direction, where things have been fairly positive and I don't want to say like it gets negative. It just gets more, this is obviously more of a somber kind of song, Nobody Here. And it's, one of those tearjerkers, and just, it's like kind of evokes something. Like I remember like the first time I heard it, thinking about like, when he talks about, it's good to see you here, come on in, can I offer you a beer? Like thinking like somebody that you haven't seen in a long time and it's been years, and then they just show up at your doorstep, and maybe it's like somebody that you lost touch with, and then like maybe you had a falling out with, and then you decide to patch it up, and they show up, and you kind of, I don't know, man, there's just that sort of feeling to it that I always thought. But it's
nostalgia.
Yeah. And it kind of it's in a lot of ways like it's kind of like there's a loneliness to it that you're hoping for, like human contact, and relationships and things like that.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed.
Tiny Tears, man, just continuing that sort of vibe, but still it's more uplifting, and it's still a somber song. Uh, uh, oh man, like I wish I could just like I don't know. It's hard to like encapsulate that one. It's just such a emotional Devin Townsend song. Both of those, Nobody's Here and Tiny Tears, and then Stagnant. It kind of I love the way this ends. It ends in a kind of a uplifting track, and he, still like the lyrics are kind of just easy to gel with. When you're having a bad day or whatever it is. But Stagnant's kind of the whereas like Ocean Machine kind of ends on sort of a really somber notes, where it kind of like almost didn't know what it was trying to do. That's where I kind of feel like this album was a little bit more cohesive from start to finish, because it dipped in the middle a bit and then it really kind of came up again and into this really just like angelic, like just uplifting song. And then that's the last track on the album. But if you listen to it, there's actually a bonus track.
Yeah.
And I love the way that it ends with that, because it's just this kind of throwaway track, but it's like a campfire, like acoustic song, great little melody, just kind of closing it out, like after this huge emotional fucking ride, dude. Just like sitting there.
Yeah, the final 3 minutes is really, really.
And then he starts laughing, and he starts kind of, like gives this.
Doesn't he say it? Doesn't he say at the end, should we do it with vocals now?
Yeah, and then he says, let's do it with the vocals.
We have to do it with vocals? Yeah.
Yeah, and then it turns into this weird, like, ambient track.
Yeah.
And it just kind of closes out. I just love the way that works. And it just works really wonderfully. Like, just.
I'd never heard that before.
You haven't heard it?
No, well, because I don't have this. I don't actually own this, like hard copy. I have a CD-ROM. Maybe there is, and I just didn't remember it. But I mean,
it was on the original CD. It's just not listed.
Okay, well then I had to have heard it then.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, and you're right. It's like he says, "Let's do it with the vocals. Let's do it with the vocals," and then it just turns into like this sort of like ambience, and then it fades out. It's great. It's just a great way to end it. I mean, I could wax poetic forever about this one, but I mean, for sure. I mean, I don't find any. It's one of those Devi records that I don't find any flaw with. I mean, I pretty much love everything on it. And this kind of like really kind of informed where he could really. I mean, if he didn't already prove that before, it just shows again that there's so much that this guy has to offer and he's going to do going forward. And ultimately, like myself getting into his solo stuff at the same time that I was getting the strapping, which I love the strapping stuff, but when he ended strapping, I didn't have any problem with it.
No, yeah.
I mean, he's the kind of guy that he's going to do like whatever he decides to do. I know it's for the right reasons.
Right.
He's not going to just go half-ass some album. Well,
he's always on a he's always on a quest to sort of find that perfect album, and to his mind, he hasn't done that yet. Clearly, but I think strapping was taking a lot out of him. Physically and mentally and emotionally, and there was a lot of requirement to tour on that band.
Yeah, they were touring a lot.
Which, as a solo artist, he could maybe dictate a little bit more what can happen there. And I think too, to a large extent, he didn't have a lot of. He had exercised a lot of that emotional trauma through strapping that he kind of wanted to turn to more uplifting and sort of emotionally beneficial songwriting. You can't always be down in the dumps. If you got clinical depression, you should probably get some help, which unfortunately usually means medication, which does not always help. So because he went through that, right?
Yeah, he did. I mean, I think even during this time, like I think he was starting to get sort of a handle on it.
Right.
But like, I think it was a little while. Then he kind of had some drug and alcohol issues as well that kind of couple with that. But
yeah, I know he was smoking a lot of weed at one point in time, but
yeah,
I don't. And then he was taking I believe he was taking antidepressants for a while.
Yeah, it was on like a lot of meds. And
yeah,
I think. But it's interesting because like, now that I know him as an artist, as far as like his output, it's like this shit just like comes out of him, like he doesn't even really seem to have to try that hard.
No, he doesn't. That's,
it's quite amazing.
Yeah. It's kind of, I'm trying to figure out where I plug in my DAW. He's already written. He's already tracked guitars. You know, I mean, just while I'm trying to figure out how to plug the DAW in. So yeah.
Yeah.
So what?
And the other thing, real quick, is
Mhm.
that the other really cool thing about this is Haugland is playing drums on this. I keep saying Haugland, it's Hoagland, I think.
Right.
But this is probably the most subdued, different drum performance you will ever hear from Gene Hoagland. And there's a couple moments like in the Fluke where you hear like some big fills,
Right.
and you're like, oh, that is Gene. Okay, I can tell it's him now, you know. But like he just happened to do drums because, you know, at the time they were doing strapping, and
Yep.
he had written some of this with Gene, and Gene was kind of the natural guy to do the drums for the record.
Sure. Sure. You're gonna go for what you know, generally speaking.
Mhm.
Now he seems to change. He had Ryan Vander Poolen or whatever his name is. Vander.
Yeah.
He had him for a very long time, but now it seems like he's switching guys up more frequently. Although he's got Mike Keneally, who was in Zappa, I believe, and he's kind of like the band leader, and so he's got a pretty killer band. I kind of regret not going to see him in Dream Theater and Animals. I was thinking about it. That was was that July? I think it was July. I was thinking about going. I was starting to slip and medically, and I didn't think I could sit through Labrie. I really, you know, I used to love Labrie, but I just didn't think I could do it.
Yeah.
And so I ended up not going, and I kind of wish I had, but you know, it's not like I haven't seen Devin. I've seen a number.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think you missed much because actually my wife did go to that show.
Oh, did she?
And she said it was awesome. It was great, you know. But like the set list that Devi did was like it's all the same shit he always does, you know.
Oh,
because he wasn't headlining, you know. He did like 6-7 songs or whatever, and it was all. And I'm sure it was awesome.
Yeah, it was all the stuff.
But it's not anything you haven't seen.
Yeah, right.
Like he tends to do like, especially like later the last few years in the tours, like a lot of stuff. If it wasn't like a couple of new tracks, everything else from old stuff, it was always Deadhead, Truth, he's Kingdom. You know, he's always got those staples that he just does every time he plays. Yep. Deep Peace, man. That's one of my favorites. It's just so good.
Were you scoring the albums?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I guess I got to give this one a 10 out of 10, man. I don't have it. I mean,
I was going to say it for you. I was going to say it for you.
I really hate to do that, and I've like done that before. But it's funny because like most of the time, every time I do something with you, like when in terms of like breaking down albums, it's usually shit that I really love. You know?
Yeah,
So,
right.
and I really don't like. I don't tend to give, and I hate like reviews when you see they're always rating stuff high. But I mean, like this is an album that's really close to my heart. And
Yeah,
has
it
been
beats you
for
deeply.
fucking, like 20 years now. So
Yep.
I don't really have anything to complain about this album. I mean, it's pretty much perfect for me. Every song, it flows great. I love the production. I just love.
What'd you give Ocean Machine?
I would give I'd give that one probably a 9, just because of the Death of Music. That's the only piece of that album that kind of throws me off a little bit. Even though it's a good song, it just that's the one thing that would hold me away from
Detracting.
not a perfect album. But like I said, also that album that's another one that's a desert island album for me that it's been in my life for over 20 years, and I love it so much that I'd be remiss to give it anything lower than a 9. But yeah, you know, so those are both, you know, albums that, like, you know, thousands of albums I go through, man. I mean, there's not many that can beat Ocean Machine and Terria.
Yeah, they're pretty stellar. Let me run through my stuff real quick.
Yeah, what do you think?
Like you said, Olives, you got that little sort of lurching room.
You want to go back to two window?
Oh yeah, sorry. Oh shit, I didn't even realize I had you blown up. Because I was looking down here. I was looking at the bottom where I see where you came in. I don't. Did I have you up like that for a long time?
Just for when I was talking about.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
We're good.
So yeah, Olive starts. It's that lurching, funny, sort of weird sort of beginning. It's kind of trippy, and I think at the end, doesn't he say something really weird? Like, what does he say?
I wonder if the lyrics. I don't.
He like makes a statement. Damn it! I thought he said something like, "Come in, welcome."
Yeah.
Didn't he say that, or am I dreaming that?
Stir your drink is what he said.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll have to stir your drink with.
Yeah, and you're like, what? And then then it kind of you're just like, oh, I got it. Okay. Mountain. This one has some crazy heavy riffs and screams and a lot of sampled dialogue in the background, which I'd forgotten about, to be honest. Earth Day, recycle, recycle. And that, happy, it's your birthday, your birth fucking day. It's like,
That's right. Yeah, there are a few moments where he just
he's just being a goof. He's just being a goof, right?
Yeah.
But it's bouncy and proggy. That descending riff is super wicked. That all out crazy screamed thrashy pre-chorus. It's crazy epic and heavy, monstrously infectious and catchy. Deep piece, kind of the cool chill ambient combo of background noise and effects laden saturated riffs and leads. The lead work on this song is amazing, almost neoclassical in the Yngwie vein. And then the stacked vocals are at once over the top and yet and yet stuffing Lynn. I must have been falling asleep because I did this one earlier. I must have been falling asleep right there. It says over the top and yet stuffing, like stuffing an envelope. Lynn, stuffing Lynn. I hope she was good. Because I don't know what the fuck I was talking about there. But yeah, I mean, really, really cool stuff. Love DPs. Canada, huge, epic, sweeping grandeur. Dense, melodic, and yet still super heavy. Down Under, kind of an acoustic, upbeat track. Lots of orchestration, super uplifting. Mostly an instrumental track into the heavy section from about the midpoint on. It sounds like a slide guitar. I don't know whether it is or not. It wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't, or if it was. The fluke has a bit of an Ocean Machine vibe to it. Nobody Here. Pretty stripped back ballad, very feelsy and vibey and chilled out, but grows into an epic ending. The fuck off part of the lyrics staying true.
That's that too.
Yeah, when he says that, he's staying true to Debbie's personality and ethos. Tiny Tears is an epic number and almost a metal ballad, but more a proggy ballad that's rather warped and crazy long. That's a long song, man. I think it's like 14 minutes or 12 minutes or something?
Yeah, that's a long one.
What was that?
But it stays engaging though, even though it goes into that last part where it's just a slow drum beat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one could have been trimmed a wee bit, just a little bit. My biggest issues with Teria is it's insanely long, and I can start to drift a little bit. By the end of, but in the end, the material is so dense and crazy, detailed that it takes a good bit of focus to concentrate on the material. By the end, it kind of wears me out a little bit. So I can kind of see, I think my number grade is legitimate just for that purpose alone. That he could have edited a few of these tracks down just ever so slightly. In particular, the last one and
Tears.
Yeah. All right, so I would give this. What did I give it? What would it go? I think I gave it an 8.5. 8.5. No, 9. Gave it a 9, which I gave Ocean Machine 9.75. I think I said 9.69 just to be funny, but it's in that top quarter there. So
yeah.
All right, so talk a little bit about what happens with Debbie after he does after this album. He does DTV with Accelerated. Then he does what? Is it Synkestra?
Let's see. Well, he does Accelerated Evolution, and then I think at this point, let me find here because I don't think he's doing SYL again yet.
He's not. He stops after that out, like in between that album and.
Okay, so he does SYL in 2003. So then he does. Okay, so then he does Sorry, because I'm looking at Metal Archives, and you have to like go back and forth to get. So he did that.
I'm gonna
Okay.
blow you up solo real quick. Talk for
Okay.
a few minutes. Be right back.
So at this point, he does Accelerated Evolution and puts back together Strapping Young Lad in 2003. So he comes out with Accelerated Evolution, which is another great, and that's under the moniker of Devin Townsend Band, which this is when he starts playing with all the guys that would eventually continue with him in Devin Townsend Project. So he does Accelerated Evolution, and then also this year he puts Strapping Young Lad back together because he felt like some rage again. He felt like he wanted to do it again. I remember him talking about like 9/11 kind of gave him some added oomph to wanting to do metal again, I guess. So yeah, that was a 2 for a year. You got Accelerated Evolution, then you got SYL, and then he goes on to do Synkestra, which is also under the Devin Townsend Band moniker, which at the same time he does Alien, I think, with Strapping Young Lad. So he was kind of going back and forth, bouncing between those two. So he does Alien. Let me bring up the. So where is? Sorry, I'm just looking at Metal Archives, and you have to like switch all over the place. I wish I could just get a full, year by year breakdown. Okay, so Alien and Synkestra are 2005. And then The New Black is the last SYL record, 2006. And so we decided that we would pick, since we're doing this sort of like twofer, we would each pick a record that's post Strapping Lad. So anything after 2006. And so I picked Ziltoid. And I just have a CD copy of this. Put this up here. And then Jeff picked Epic Cloud, or Epic Cloud, however you want to pronounce it. That one's actually a little bit later, but I mean, so starting with Ziltoid up to now, that's a lot of records. There's a lot of stuff since then, but it's mainly under Devin Townsend solo or Devin Townsend project. I think now he's just calling it just Devin Townsend since I think like Empath or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then from here on out, I guess that's what he's going to do. I think he's just going to continue under Devin Townsend. I guess I remember him talking about like DTP was kind of supposed to be an attempt at keeping that whole band together because he wanted those guys to kind of have a little bit of input and it wasn't just him. Eventually he got kind of tired of that too because once again, he was caught up in the touring cycle like he was with Strapping and having to constantly pushed, DTP. And, Devin, he's a Stephen Wilson type, man. He likes to do his own thing and wants to use musicians that he decides for, and he can have anybody at his disposal.
Pretty much, I would think. Yeah. I mean, he definitely, I don't know if he's talked about it, but I would think I'd be shocked if during that period of time where he was having all the mental health issues that he's got to be somewhat ADHD. I got to believe.
I'm sure.
Usually people like him and myself, I include myself because I'm definitely there, are high energy, kind of not scatterbrain, but can really focus in on things that mean a lot to them, but have trouble with other elements. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's the other stuff that kind of falls to the wayside, but the things that you're really dig and focused on, you're just laser focused on, right? And so I think that he really struggles with not, some artists will be like, yeah, I'm going to take a year off, man. I'm burnt out. I'm tired of touring, tired of writing, all that kind of stuff. I can step away. Some artists can really step away for 2 or 3 years and then come back to it and fire back up. He's not like that. He cannot sit idly without creating. He has to create. And that to me probably is a little bit of an ADD or ADHD sort of thing going on there. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So jump into your album is the next in line in terms of chronology. So he does this album called Ziltoid, the Omniscient, right?
Yep. Devin Townsend presents.
And it's comes out. Damn it! Fuck. I forgot to. I accidentally.
This is 2006. No, this is 2007 when this comes out.
Was it?
So,
yeah, 2007. You're right.
Yeah. So at this point, this is very much a transitional record. I mean, and there, I'm sure you could really say any record is a transitional record for him, but to me, this is truly a transitional record for him because this is really the end. He's not doing strapping anymore. He's not quite exactly where he's going to be going forward with DTP, with Key, when he becomes completely sober and gets rid of the skullet. This is right between that,
right.
between those two eras.
And this is May 21st, 2007, recorded November 6th, 2006 through March 1st, 2007. Devin, of course, is a producer. And the interesting thing about this album is this is literally a solo album. There's no one else that adds anything to it. He uses Drums from Hell, which is a drum program. Cubase, I think, is what he uses, I believe. And or maybe Apogee. No, Apogee is the DAW. I'm pretty sure he uses Cubase. And he does everything on it. And the Drum from Hell kit, I remember them talking about this. This was a big thing when they did all the publicity for it. They talked a lot about the Drums from Hell, and I guess he got it from Frederick Thornendal, because he went out on tour. That's where I saw him. I saw him open for Meshuggah. Yeah, and I want to say that was for Obzen. Was that 2006?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Around then, right? I think it was then. It was either Obzen or but I think it was Obzen because I was right after Nothing, so I'm pretty sure it was Obzen. And I think he, Thomas Haka or Hake or however you say his last name, Haka, incredible drummer. But they're, one of the things that everybody talks about with Meshuggah is the crazy polyrhythms, and they are, but there are a lot of triggers in there, and they're using drum samples on the recordings, and that's where I think he must have been talking to Frederick. Oh man, I want to use whatever you're using on the next solo album I do because I want to hear these massive drums. And the drums on this album are out of this fucking world. They're just, and they sound real for the most part. They're synthetic because it's talked about, but they just come at you, man. They're just, they attack you in a weird way. They're almost like someone's like, Frank Zappa did that. My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama. This is, the drums want to fucking destroy you, Mm-hmm. And of course, the concept behind it is this intergalactic being comes to Earth for the perfect cup of coffee and gets served the wrong, something tepid, right? Tepid and vile. And so he decides to wage war upon planet Earth. From where's the planet? What planet is he on? Do you remember?
Ziltoidia?
Is it Ziltoidia? Yeah, I think that's what it is. And the Ziltoidans attack, and they come at him and they destroy him. And I know he did puppet stuff with this, videos with puppets.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, just crazy stuff. And so it's a concept album wrapped in a solo album, wrapped in a comedy skit is essentially what it is. And, it's, I hadn't listened to this a long time, man. And I was a little leery. I'm like, man, I hope I'm not going to think this is cheesy as fuck. I didn't. There are some incredible songs on this album. They kind of run the gamut of everything that he's done. You hear bits and pieces of Ocean Machine and Terria. You hear bits and pieces of Accelerated Devo. You hear a little bit of everything, but then wrapped all in this space age, operata or metal operata or whatever, concept operata. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think you put it pretty much right. I mean, that's kind of why I picked this one, because I thought that I mean, he's done so much up to this point, and this album does really represent kind of everything he's done. You know, everything from strapping. It's got a lot of heavy stuff on there, you know, and like he was kind of wanting to move away from the heavy stuff. So it's interesting to hear every time he talks about like I don't want to do heavy shit, but then he'll still do heavy stuff.
Yeah,
rapping, but it's still like this is definitely the heaviest shit he's done as far as his solo career.
It might. I was going to say it might be his heaviest album overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, and so, but it does. It really has a lot of variation in terms of like everything he's done at this point. And I love also the fact that, like you said, you know, he does everything on the record. I mean, like, you know, most of his records, he's got either guest musicians or, you know, a full band assembled or whatever. This is all him down to the programming of the drums. And I also felt like, I think there was an attempt for him to sort of strip it down. And it doesn't sound stripped down because it still sounds massive. You know, there's a lot going on. Yeah. But at the same time, I think he tried to do like a lot with as little as much as he could. You know what I mean? Like he just said, let me just, you know, I'll throw a program drums on there. I'll do all the bass and I'll just do everything else. And then whatever. And it kind of like, it's one of those, it could have easily been like, this is kind of dumb, man. You know, it's got like the alien puppet, you know, it's like when you see like his videos, it's hilarious, but you're like, how is this going to really come across?
But it is, there's a silliness to it that if you know Devin, you kind of get it, right? If you have to know, if it was anyone else, you'd be like, this is fucking dumb, you know, but with him, you're like, oh, he's such a genuinely corny dude in a lot of ways. Yeah. That you're like, this is part of who he is, this goofy Monty Python-esque sort of humor thing.
Totally.
And you can't help but like it. And, you know, in between most of the tracks, not all, but I think most of them, there's some sort of running dialogue like attack or Colonel or what does he call him? The great omniscient one.
Right. He's got the, you know, Planet Smasher and the
Planet Smasher,
Captain Spectacular. And
Well,
I mean, that's the thing is like, that's why it works because like like you said, I mean, like there's always been, you know, a very like humorous and comedic side to Devin Townsend because he is such a goofy dude, you know, like when it comes to, like I said before, you know, like when he's funny, man, he's fucking hilarious, man. And if you've seen him live, you know what I'm talking about because the guy can just go off for just, you know, like a stand-up comedian. And you know, so that's where it's kind of like, okay, like there's always been that sort of humor in his music, and this is where he kind of really let loose with the humor, but also was able to also like make some really like introspective songs as well, which is interesting. So it's like but yeah, so like, you know, it is sort of a concept, it's a story, it's Ziltoid. He comes and he destroys Earth. He wants the best cup of coffee, and they don't produce the universe. For him. Yeah,
in the known universe.
In the known universe. So like he want, you know, and they don't make it's not up to his standards. So he destroys Earth, and then some of the Earthlings escape, and they start chasing him, and he, you know, travels across, you know, the universe, and
then we get
planets, you know,
and then we get Z2 down the road somewhere. Yeah,
right. But the cool thing about the story is that like. Like I talked about before, like a lot of Devin stuff is a metaphor for his own shit that he's gone through. You know what I mean? Right. And this is very much that. I mean, like it's all in the guise of a crazy alien looking for a cup of coffee. It's absurdity, like kind of like Monty Python in a way, you know. But like if you pay attention, like it really is kind of like Ziltoid is sort of trying to find what is his purpose in the universe, sort of thing, you know. It's all really absurd, you know, and it ends really kind of absurdly too. It's like, what? And then the guy wakes up and he's like you know, he's basically just a barista at a Starbucks or whatever, having a Starbucks, you know, cappuccinos. It's really funny and absurd, and like and it has sort of a whole cast of characters, which is a lot of fun. But you know, breaking down the music, I mean, goddamn, dude, like, you know, by your command. I mean, so ZTO is kind of starting off, you know, you're finding out what he wants, what Ziltoid wants, and then you get into By Your Command. Now, this is a live staple that he does all the time, and it's a fucking great song, man. It's like, and it works well every time live, and it's got a lot of moods through it too. It's got a lot of heavy shit. It's there's a little bit of a bizarro kind of sci-fi stuff that kind of pervades throughout this album in this song, and then it gets nice and light and airy and pretty, and like it just kind of with some great just guitar melodies, and it just kind of goes. It's got a lot of peaks and valleys in just that track there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first thing you notice is that, man, this isn't just going to be some bullshit album. This is going to be really well thought out stuff, you know. And even though the absurdity and the bizarro stuff leaks in here and there,
sure,
overall, like as we go on, like Ziltoidia,
it's serious music though.
Yeah. I mean, so like, you know, he'll go from that to Ziltoidia Attacks, which is like really, you know, the absurd stuff. You know, it's got those really absurd fast double bass drums. That you can, that's the only time you can like really tell that it's a drum machine, but it's just it's like it's perfect how it kind of weaves back and forth. Like it feels like it goes from like his own like personal shit to the Ziltoid story and the crazy stuff, and then kind of goes back and forth. You know, so you go from Ziltoidia Attacks, which is a lot of fun and just goofy sci-fi.
Yeah, it's just the battering rams of the drum. It's very militaristic and I
mean, it's just it's like a Muppet show. It's like a bizarre Muppet show or something, you know. And and then Solar Winds, man, holy fuck, dude, this is such a good song. And this song, Solar Winds, is like something, you know, like you're like, wow, am I in the same album? You know, you read the lyrics and you kind of see where it exists.
That's my favorite. It's kind of a dark, epic ballad in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Great melodies, though, man. Some of his best, just the way that the melodies build. And
this would have fit very well on Terria.
Sure.
Could have even fit maybe on Ocean Machine. Sure. Absolutely would have fit on DTB Accelerated.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, like that's where you you know, like everything up to this point's been pretty heavy, and it kind of got a little introspective on By Your Command, but Solar Winds is where it's like really like it's getting to that Devin introspection kind of arena, you know, where it's, and then we get to Hyperdrive, man. I mean, Hyperdrive could have been on Ocean Machine as well. I mean,
Hyperdrive was redone on Addicted then.
It was, it was, and I love that version too with Anakin.
Oh yeah,
vocals.
It's very, it's very upbeat and very drive. That's a driving song to know, kill all driving songs. Should mention one thing. Hey Logan, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. We mentioned this earlier on. We are definitely gonna do a deep dive. Maybe we can even get fucking Nate to finally join us one of these times here. Maybe if he's got his computer after Christmas, we could coax Nate into coming on and giving his thoughts about Devin, because I know he's one of your favorite artists. So just stick that in your pipe there, buddy. So yeah, that's our plan. Not sure when. Probably not until February. I've got, if everything comes off, I'll go through this at the end. But if everything comes together and I can physically do all the things I've got planned, I'm gonna be going back on vacation back in fucking March and not coming back for 6 months. I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, I got a lot of shit planned and a lot of pretty intense deep dives coming up, which we'll go into at the end here. Remind me. So
yeah, for sure.
Go ahead.
So like, okay, so the Hyperdrive, man. God, that's, I always found it interesting. He doesn't do that one live. Maybe that's not really a live track. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen him do that.
You would think it would be.
Yeah, and it's just such a simple. It's one of those examples of Devin just doing a simple, you know, easy riff, you know, with an easy melody that just fucking, you know, just works so well. And it's just such a catchy, just fun song, man. Just got that really like kind of sort of shoegazy vocals. It's just, man, great Devin Townsend song. You know, it's about halfway through the record. We get to N9 where it gets back to the sort of bizarro Ziltoid story with the weird, dissonant melodies and things, and getting into the story. This is where the album gets a little like, maybe I don't want to say it loses focus, but it's just like it's a big step to take to like do like really absurd stuff and also interject some of his real introspective songwriting into the record.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind, if I can interrupt for a sec, again, we're still in that zone of the 90s into 2000s where labels are expecting 80 minutes of music because of the format. They just are expecting artists to provide that much content, right? And I think in a weird way, artists felt almost like it was their duty to provide that. A lot of them did. a lot of, especially like a guy like Devin who's super prolific and has that ADHD thing going where he really wants to, you know, get all those ideas out, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, to someone, I think it's a detriment because there are some super fucking long albums that now when I go back to them, I'm like, man, if they just cut like this song and that song, I'll listen to them the whole way through. But I do fatigue out. I think someone who ever got it right back in the day, 42 to 48 minutes, 50 tops. That's kind of it, man, for the human mind to kind of focus on one thing. It's difficult, especially if you're somebody like me that is trying to do 18 different things while I'm trying to focus on something like that. It's hard.
Yeah.
So when you hear these long albums, even if the albums are really great, you do get a bit of fatigue by the end. You're just like, man, okay, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that definitely happens here. And it has happened in some Devin albums. And I really feel that way about a lot of stuff. I don't
Yeah, because you go back even to the 70s, like fucking Lamb Lies Down on Broadway or Frampton Comes Alive or
any Yes record. Yeah.
Any Tales of Topographic Oceans, right?
Yeah.
They were pushing the boundaries with putting about 55 minutes on 2 albums.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now we're at the CD, you know, in this era, 2007, you know, from the mid 90s to 2000, or well, late 80s into 2000, mid 2000s, you've got artists going, oh, I got to fill like 79 minutes of music. Yeah. And I don't know that it was necessarily a good thing when I look back on it. I don't think that this album's not quite as long, isn't it? I think it's only 50.
I think there's definitely moments that could have been shaved out. Like
no, but I mean in total, I think it's only 50. Hold on.
Yeah, it doesn't say on the CD. And I've got this, like, I guess I got this when it first came out. It's like the 2 CD kind of deal, and the second CD is pretty much.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. I had it's the only one I forgot to post the details on.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue on. I'll find it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like that's kind of, I mean, like, you know, I mean, the rest of it, like Planet Smasher, and I mean, Planet Smasher is cool, but I think it's more kind of for the narrative and not so much the song. But it's hilarious though at the end of it when the Planet Smasher says, "By the way, my name's Marvin, and I fucking hate musicals."
Yeah. By the way,
it's like, where did that come from?
That's totally Devin right there. That's totally
totally. It was just like out of nowhere, man.
All right, but so it's 53. It's 53 minutes, so it's not nearly as bad.
Not nearly as.
That's why this one didn't fatigue me as much.
Yeah. Nick. Yeah, we talked about Solar Winds, man. That's definitely probably my favorite song on this record as well. But Color Your World and The Grays are the last 2 really great tracks. You know, they both kind of, maybe the Color Your World goes on a little too long, but it's still, you know, just I don't know. There's just something about the songs here that, like, if you follow like the story, which isn't like really that in depth, but it does feel like sort of a journey throughout the whole thing, leading into the end when the guy wakes up and he's, you know, a barista at Starbucks serving coffee. The Grays, I mean, like, that's another song where, you know, you would think he's singing about aliens, right? The Grays, but it's actually sort of a metaphor for, you know, how he feels gray or whatever it is. Yeah, it's just, and that's, again, going back to so much about this record is it's his trademark of taking something like it's also like the end. He's talking about, I'm supposed to be omniscient, but we're just all puppets. I'm a puppet. You're a puppet. You know, it's all a big metaphor for just how his fucking, you know, mental state was at the time that he did the album and what he had to do to get from point A to point B in the day. You know what I mean? And so, like, that's what Ziltoid is sort of like ultimate, you know, crazy Muppet story, you know, to like kind of front his own emotions in a way, you know? So, but like, yeah, dude, it's like, it's definitely one of those records that it almost maybe you wouldn't have thought it would have worked, but it fucking totally does. And for me, it's one of the best in his discography.
I agree. Yeah. You know? It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's got everything, all the emotions, it pushes all the buttons, man. You know.
What's up, Nick? Good to see you, bud. Yeah, it's not one of those things where the narrative takes over and it gets sort of like, here we go, more talking. There's just a few jokes thrown in here and there. You hear a little bit of dialogue occasionally on some tracks, and it's mostly still business as usual, just lots of pummeling heavy stuff, right? So for me on this one,
Right, and Captain Spectacular exposes him for what he truly is, a nerd. You know?
nerd,
Come
you're
on,
a
man.
nerd. You're a nerd. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. I think that I'm trying to find where to hold on. Oh,
I'm gonna go pee real quick.
yeah. So ZTO is just kind of the intro thing to kind of get you warmed up to what's coming. It's the whole dialogue about finding the perfect coffee and not getting the perfect coffee, and then transitioning into By Your Command. Huge, over the top, cinematic. The drums absolutely drive the track. They drive every track on this album. You've got Ziltoid. How the fuck is that pronounced? Ziltodia Attacks. And that one, again, drums just insane. Military marching drum tracks from hell, crushing yet they sound real to me. There aren't, but they sound real. Solar Winds, probably my favorite track on the album. It's huge, massive, dark and epic, but yet still uplifting, which is something Dev just really excels at. He excels at writing songs that are kind of spacious and off-putting, but there are still always, they manage to kind of make me feel good about being alive, right? Hyperdrive, man, super cool, reminiscent of Ocean Machine. That song, very Ocean Machine-ish, was redone. I think it comes from that era, I believe, or at least Terria, anyways. And they redid it on Addictive, which I actually thought about doing that album because that's a really great pop metal album, really, really good with a lot of Annika, who we're going to talk about in a minute, anyways. N9, huge orchestral, massive piece, really, really cool. Planet Smasher, the death metal prog thrash blasts on this album. That's kind of where you get a little bit of death metal Devi, when he's doing some death metal vocals on that, which is kind of cool to hear because he has such a multi-dimensional vocal. He doesn't usually do a lot of death.
I don't think I've ever heard him do that before. Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was the only song that he pretty much ever did it on that I'm really aware of. That he's usually either screaming or crooning or kind of doing the
Take care, Nate.
Stuff. Huh?
I was just saying, take care, Nate. He's got to bounce.
See you, Nate. You have to let me know if you get the computer, buddy. And then where are we at? Color Your World, The Grays, and Tall Latte. I love both those tracks. The Grays in particular has a really cool riff, as Nate, Nick mentioned. Color Your World's great, really, really catchy chorus on that. Again, Devin comes in and makes this really heavy statement, but it's not death metal. It's not fucking even a thrash metal album. It's just a heavy metal album with a lot of cool, spacious interludes and a lot of humor interspersed on, right? And so for me, I love the album. The humor element, I have to kind of be in the right mood for it, but otherwise, I really do love what you get here. I mentioned it that this is kind of a booty call album for me. One that I dig when I need a little booty, okay? And then otherwise, I'd rather listen to Ocean Machine or some of the more song-oriented stuff. But again, it's like, I don't know, what was I trying to say there? Let me read what I put there. This is a booty call album, one I dig when I need it, but not one I need a lot. But recall, I dug it a lot back when it came out. So I'm still giving it a 9 out of 10. I'm easy on that kind of stuff. I tend to give higher marks than a lot of people. So, completely solo. It's kind of an assault on your senses, and it's just over the top and crazy. So, my album that I picked, did you rate that one?
Yeah, I think I'd probably go with a 9 out of 10 as well. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things that I could have shaved, a little shorter, but I mean, there's not a whole lot wrong with this record. It's definitely one of the strongest in this catalog, I think.
Okay, so Epicloud comes out in we jump about 5 years here, and was there something in between this that I'm not remembering?
Sure, there was a lot between this and Epicloud. I mean, there was the quadrilogy or whatever you want to call it. There was Key,
Key and Deconstruction,
Ghost.
He
even did, I think, Casualties of Cool.
Yeah, that's right. He did another one of those. That's right.
So Epicloud is almost kind of like a new era, you know. I mean,
definitely is. And here's what I'll say about it. This came out September 18, 2012, and it was done at Kingdom Studios in Perth, Australia. Straight Sound Studios in Canada, and Armory in Vancouver. Armory is actually where like Frontline Assembly. That's Dave McKean, I believe. Producer is Devin. This is only 49 minutes long, and So this album, to me, I'm gonna start at the back end, and then do the track by track. This is a super heavy vocal driven album, as evidenced by the fact that there are much shorter, less proggy, less overtly musically ambitious tracks. He sticks to creating melodic earworms that are, as usual, lushly produced and focus on vocal hooks. This album is probably more of a synth and arrangement song arrangement driven album than many of his earlier albums, and is probably the most in common with Addicted, as it's a kind of a pop metal album essentially. But man, it's pretty glorious. And I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. And I'm interested to hear what you have to say. It's very much on par with Transcendence. They're kind of bookend albums during this period, right? But I'll go back to the intro, which we've got some gospel choirs opening, right? You're like, for effervescent. And effervescence means like glowing and ebullient and bubbly and all that kind of stuff like that, right? Full of life. And that song sounds just like that, man. It's just very uplifting and spiritual and moving. And then you go to True North. Man, I hate to say it, it's a fucking killer pop song, man. And Annika is just amazing, man. That woman's voice is just wow. Like, now I know her from The Gathering, but I never really bought a lot of The Gathering stuff. I always had this issue with like female fronted metal bands, like, we can't do that. I know that sounds misogynistic. I don't want it to come off that way. It's just how I felt, right? But man, she's such a great soloist and singer. It's just amazing. Liberation is kind of a major up-tempo, addicted kind of track. To me, very upbeat and snappy, funny. The riffs kind of remind me of Wango Tango. It's very Wango Tango-ish if you listen to the verse part of it. Man, the next track, I think it's probably my favorite song on the album, Where We Belong. God, it's so beautiful, man. Big, airy ballad with mid-tempo and breathy, serene vocals. They're killer. Has such a gorgeous song. It's such a gorgeous song. Probably my favorite on the album. It's just kind of really magical. I just think that song is absolutely amazing. What's the next one there? Dave Arbau? No, that's not it. Save Our Now, based on a structure written by Rob Swire. Another kind of uplifting track, almost 80s sounding in a weird way. It has that shimmer and poppiness, and Annika is great again. Focuses on the hooks entirely. Kingdom is the massively heavy, over-the-top track. Super fucking riffy in the accelerated vein.
And that's a re-recording from Physicist.
Is that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense then. Dev's vocals are crazy on this, almost operatic at times. Crazy over-the-top chorus, just so memorable. Divine, where's it? Divine. Cool, down-tempo, atmospheric love song. Waves of washy synths and gentle vocals. Very pretty song. I like it. Very pretty song. Grace, gorgeous Annika vocals. She's special, no doubt about it. Big, massive choir, stacked vocals, and chuggy riffery that we've heard before, but it's still pretty killer, super unifying and uplifting. The gospel vocals are kind of wild in a Dev song, although he's always had massive vocal layering, so it's not really a surprise. Let's see, we've got more. Probably the heaviest actual song, even over Kingdom, as far as the riffing goes. He does the tritone, the tritones. I don't know if you can hear it. Hopefully you can. You got that tritone going on.
Yeah.
He actually hits that riff a couple times in there, which he's not usually that guy, but he does in that one. That one, let's see, kind of earworm, crazy up tempo. That chorus is a super earworm. Lessons, cool little guitar interlude, keyboard guitar intro showcases Dev's skill as a guitar player pretty well. Hold on, big hooky chorus full of synths and big chuggy riffs and massive vocals. I can see how many old fans might not dig this type of song on a Dev album, but it's so well done. It's like the culmination of all the other earlier heavy shit into a beautiful candy-coated sugar ball of massive production and earworms. That's what it sounds like to me. Angel, probably the least favorite song on the album for me. Annika features in it, but I'm not as crazy about the vocals in this. I'm not as crazy about the melody lines. This could have been an Outfield song. Do you remember the Outfield? You know who that is? They did. I don't want. Josie's on vacation far away. Come around, taking over. So many ways that I have to say. That it reminds me of that kind of a song. It's almost like too poppy for its own good. That's the one song I don't like on it. Again, this is a really, really killer album, though, man. I was shocked at how much I dug it, especially after talking to you, and you were kind of like, yeah, I got some problems with this album, which I'm interested to hear about what those problems are. But for me, I was all in on it. I thought it was pretty fucking great. I have to go listen to Transcendence and see what the difference might be. Whether I sort of remember them kind of being bookends, though, that they were very similar. But I can't remember any tracks off the top of my head off Transcendent right off the bat. You know what I mean? But I know if I listen to it, if I like this, I'm pretty sure I'm going to like Transcendence quite a bit too. Now, I have to admit something before you move on. And I admitted it at the beginning, I'll admit it now. I have not really, other than Empath, I've really not listened to much modern Dev since Transcendence when I saw him in 2018. I do not know Ziltoid 2. I know about it, but I don't know about it.
What about Sky Blue?
I don't know about that one.
Oh, man.
I mean, I know about it. I've never listened to it. I have not listened to Lightwork. I've not listened to, what's it called, The Puzzle. What else? Is there
I think that's it. I think that's everything he's done since.
I thought there was.
Yeah.
I thought there was one more. And again, when we talk about the quadrilogy, I guess you call it, the Key, Addicted, Deconstruction, and Ghost. I've not heard Ghost. Ghost is the ambient one. I know that.
Oh man, dude.
Which I know that's pretty cool, and it's kind of in the same vein, I believe, probably as the bonus disc on Accelerated. What's that called? Echo something? Remember?
Yeah, the second disc on Accelerated. That just had it was just like 3 tracks there. Right?
Yeah, it's Echo something though. It's called Echo something. I think
dude, it's different than anything he's done. Ghost.
See, I'm not a big fan of Key. Key does very little for me. I just don't like that album.
Ghost is essential.
Okay, all right. I'll have to grab that one. That's the only one I haven't heard. I own the other 3. I really do like Addicted a lot. I'm pretty ambivalent on Deconstruction, man. I just think it's too much. It's over the top a lot. So I'll have to go back when we do our deep dive, and we'll have to dig down into that. It sounds like Nick wants in on that probably. Yeah, so I don't really know what he's been up to the last couple of last couple of years in terms of what exactly he's laid out there. I'll have to. I guess I got to get busy on that, right? I'll have to for the deep dive. But let me see.
There's some good stuff you'll find there, I'm sure.
What's that?
There's some good stuff you'll find there for sure. I mean,
yeah, I'm looking real quick. Okay,
Ghost. I mean,
Empath was 2019. the Puzzle and Snuggles. That was two of them, right? There was two of them together,
Right. I think that was sort of like the companion pieces.
like Accelerated or something like that. Yeah.
I didn't even listen to those. Yeah.
I haven't checked them out either. And then you got Lightwork, which is the most recent one in 2022, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
So I will check those out. I need to get on those recent albums, kind of get to grips with them for doing what we do later down the road. So, all right. So go ahead, Jimmy, and you dig into this album.
Yeah, I mean, I should clarify. I mean, I don't necessarily like have any like problems with this album. I would just say that it ranks pretty low for me in the discography. But that doesn't mean I don't like it. I mean, There's definitely a lot to like on this album. I just this kind of comes at a point where I'm sort of like, okay. I mean, without like doing a track by track breakdown, I will say that there's 4 tracks specifically that I love on this album, which would be Where We Belong, which is the best track on the album, I think, as you mentioned.
For sure.
Just amazing. Save Our Now. Annika's great on that track, and I just love it. And Kingdom, obviously, I love the re-recording of it, but I've known this song since the Physicist days. But that's the one song from Physicist that really like lasts from that record. There's a couple of songs on that. It's a good album, but it doesn't really rank very high. But Kingdom was one of those songs that like it made sense for him to re-record it because he was playing live a lot at this point, and he was doing Kingdom a lot because it's like one of his great songs. So it only made sense for him to give it a big, awesome production, because the production on Physicist was not very good. Like it was just the original.
Probably had a lot of limitations and funds. His equipment at the time was probably pretty rudimentary.
Yeah,
talking very, very early Cubase back then.
Yeah,
what was sure that's what he used.
It does. In fact, I would say it's probably his worst sounding record in his whole discography. Is Physicist, but Kingdom. I mean, that's one of the best songs he's ever written. I think a lot of people agree with that, and he does it live every time he plays.
And he's really into it when he does that song, man.
I mean, like his vocals are, man. I mean,
insane.
Kingdom, and then Grace. I mean, Grace is
the killer track.
Kind of like Grace to me is like sort of the companion track to Kingdom, but a new song on this record. It's like he re-recorded Kingdom and then he wrote Grace, and it's like I like that about it, is that it's like it's two completely different eras, but two songs that kind of have a lot of similarity to them.
Yeah.
Just these huge epic fucking, like Grace isn't even like it's just one thing really. Like, I mean, like aside from Annika's awesome like intro, like the whole thing is just this Grace, like the whole thing. And it's got a great like crazy polyrhythm, but it's the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? Kind of similar to how Kingdom sort of evolves, but it's definitely like the penultimate track of the record is Grace. Beyond that, the rest of this I could kind of, give or take. I mean, I like True North. I mean, I just feel like, this record, he really went above and beyond as far as like the huge production, and like just lots multi-layers, just kind of blew his wad on this one. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. I don't really like Lucky Animals. I don't really like Liberation. Like, I mean, they're okay tracks.
Is this the second disc?
No, the first disc. So Lucky Animals. Animals, and I'm lucky. You know that?
Wait, what's this on? Epicloud?
Yeah.
Did I miss them in my rundown?
Well, Lucky Animals?
Yeah, I don't think I talked about it.
That one, right? I mean,
that wasn't in the version I had.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that may have been one that they restricted viewing of. So I listened to it on YouTube just through headphones. So I might have. I remember it saying there was 2 tracks. I thought I got them all, but I must have missed 2 then. Yeah, I do know that one. You're right. That is kind of a bummer. I might have to detract 0.25 for that. Yeah. I just felt like a lot of the vibe of this record was like kind of
a little too cheesy.
Well, I mean, like, and it's still a good song. I don't hate it. It's just not my favorite. And it's like I felt like the record, the vibe of the whole thing is just really so massive that it kind of like almost got away from like the songwriting in a way, but like, again, it still has good song, like I said, I mean, Where We Belong, Save Our Now, Kingdom, and Grace. Everything outside of that is kind of forgettable for me, like it just doesn't really. And then like there's a whole second disc on this thing.
Yeah.
It's like 12 tracks.
I've not heard that, so I don't know what.
All forgettable shit.
Is it really kind of mediocre?
Like,
yeah.
And I always find like a lot of Devin Townsend, like, so like starting with like he always had like some extra tracks on early records, but like starting, I think with this record, every record from here on out has a whole second disc with like 12 or 13 songs,
which is crazy when you think about it.
And every time, like I always every time a new record comes out, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna get the vinyl. I'm gonna get the CD because I want the second disc too.
Yeah.
And
then you get it and never listen to it after the first time.
It's
right?
never that good. It was the same thing with Empath. It was the same thing with Lightwork. Well, Lightwork, actually, Nightwork has some good stuff, but yeah, for the most part, it's usually not that great. So
semi throwaway.
Yeah, but I would say I think the record after this, Sky Blue and Ziltoid 2, was a double record.
Yes, right. And Sky Blue was the companion, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Sky Blue corrects a lot of I think Sky Blue has way better songs than this record.
Really?
Because it's the same thing. It's just poppy, like big sounding songs. But man, the songs on Sky Blue I felt like were just better than this one.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we're gonna get to talk about those. We will start to align the galaxies or align the planets, and we'll try to maybe address that in February if I'm still around. And I know I say that and probably sounds stupid of that I do say that, but things have been pretty rough the last 2 months. So yeah, man. I mean, is there a definitive Devin Townsend album? I don't know that you can really say that. There's so many faces to his sound and to his works that he produces that it would be almost impossible to say this is the one that fully represents everything that he does. I think all four of the ones we picked are fairly representative of periods, of eras that he's going through, or epochs, or whatever you want to call them. And there's no question the guy is just kind of savant-like talented. He's just like, I mean, I can sit down and strum some chords and come up with a melody and stuff like that. Pretty simple. But to do that, to generally play all the synths, the orchestrations, to produce this stuff in a digital format, you got to be pretty smart, man. You just can't be some dumbass that's like lucks into this stuff. You really got to know what you're doing. And not only that, he just doesn't do 3-minute pop songs. He does 5, 7, 12-minute monstrosities at times, generally that are good, right? Generally. And so I think that's one thing to look at here, that we don't, when we do these, we're not saying this is the end all be all. I mean, we gave you 4 different choices. These are good starting points, but you talk to 2 other Devin Townsend fans, they may be like, oh, those guys are full of shit. No, I'd start at, Transcendence and, Devin Townsend. I mean, the one that I struggled with, and I mentioned at the beginning, I'll mention again, was Accelerated De-Evolution, that I was struggling with whether that should be the one. But I have such an attachment to Ocean Machine that I had to go there because it just means everything to me. And I think that when you do listen to that album, you get a firm grasp of a lot of what Debbie is super fucking good at. But he gets better in a lot of ways. Not necessarily better than that album, but better as a songwriter in certain bursts. Things come out that you're like, wow, as a whole. So any final thoughts on Debbie before we get into what's going on with the channels and then wrap up?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think you put it great, dude. I mean, I've been a fan of Debbie for quite a long time, and he's one of those artists that very close to my heart, and he has ups and downs for me. I mean, these days, a lot of records, there's there's usually 3 or 4 songs that I absolutely love, and the rest of it I'm kind of like, whatever, But like, and he's that kind of guy, man. He just writes so much shit. He's got so much output. But one of the big things I love about Devi is his honesty, and that comes through really hard. And that doesn't, you don't really get that with too many. I mean, I would say like a lot of artists are honest, but like, man, his honesty is just like on another level, dude.
It's just like open. Yeah.
It's an emotional honesty. It's like
it's naked honesty.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, a lot of metal bands can be honest about fucking how, how brutal and heavy they are. They certainly are doing that, but man, he's just he wears his emotions on his sleeves, and I don't know, man. It's just, there's something about like the different moods and emotions that he evokes. And as I talked about like earlier in the stream, like when he's fucking angry, like it's the angriest shit you will ever hear. When he's funny, he's a fucking stand-up comedian, dude. Like when he's sad, I mean, like he will evoke tears from. He's a master of pushing all those buttons, emotionally, and that's something that you don't get with too many artists,
No, you're right, and the way he does it, it connects with your humanity, connects with your emotional the vulnerability of being human, right? The vulnerability of fearing death, fearing life, sometimes fearing love, missing, not being loved, not being able to open up to emotional vulnerability. He's all those things, right? And fallibility. When he talks on stage, man, he will often just absolutely just shit all over himself, as being, just stupid and terrible and a really awful musician. And, he's doing it self-effacingly and funny, and he's being funny, but he really often really does examine himself a lot openly in his music and in his personal or his professional life, right? So just pretty fucking killer, man. And I think that Nick, had you been here on time and not arrived late, just saying, we did talk about that right from the beginning, right, Jimmy? What did I say? I said, man, I wanted to do Accelerated, but I felt that Ocean Machine was the more full, complete album overall. But I did say Deadhead is, without question, probably Devi's greatest song ever. I mean, and you want to talk about emotional vulnerability, man. That song is like, what the fuck? It's like being fucking hit in the face and the groin and the gut and your ball sack with a 80-pound sledgehammer, right?
Yeah, I would agree. It's probably one of his best songs ever. I mean,
yeah.
And there's a testament to why he plays it live every time, because it works really well live as well. But
you are being scolded now. See, you arrived late. This is what you get, sir. You can go back and watch the beginning, which you won't. But anyway, yeah, man. So a good one, man. We did it in 2 hours 12. That's not bad considering.
Not bad. Yeah.
Not bad considering Kellen and I did 2 albums in about 2:15. So when we got into Wasp, we got into all kind of tangential. Doing stuff with Kellen's awesome because he's a deep thinker, right? And he had me kind of coming at those albums during the stream a little differently than I had anticipated, right? And you and I are, you and I have a lot of very, very similar thoughts, processes on music and what we love and the things we get into, and life too. I believe there's a lot of life chemistry there too. And so it's super cool to do this. And let's reiterate, we will do a Devin Townsend full-on deep dive at some point. That could be a 2-parter because I think if we include, I don't know that we need to include like the ambient stuff. We can touch on it and show it, but
here's what I would propose, man. I would propose a 3-parter. Do Strapping, part 1. Do Devin Townsend, Ocean Machine through Ziltoid, part 2.
Well, Physicist too.
No, Ocean Machine's the first one.
Okay.
Physicist was second. So Ocean Machine through Ziltoid, part 2. Part 3, DTP through Now. and cut out all the like.
And what's part one? Strapping?
Part one strapping, yeah.
Okay, all the strapping stuff. Okay,
That's,
wow.
I mean, that's what 5 albums. I mean, it. I mean, like if you were gonna try and do all that in a 2-part, that's long 2 parts.
Talking like 6 hours, especially.
And I'm not even talking about like I'm saying like cut out all the like side records, just focus on the full lengths.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, strapping 1 part, Ocean Machine to Zoltoid 2, and then DTPs starting with Key.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah,
that's the way. I mean, that would be the best way it would work without having a, because I mean, like you could spend a lot of time on these records. I mean, that could go on a long time. Just doing strapping that could go,
Now, you guys might have to carry it on without me. I mean, I just don't know, but we'll see. That's a good idea. I think that's what we'll probably do then, and it can be more manageable and can include more people that way. Yeah, if you're doing 5 or 6 or 7 albums, you can have 4 people and still get in and done in 3 hours roughly. Whereas if you have 17 or 18 albums and there's 5 people, we're going to be doing it for 2.5 days.
Yeah, I mean, just cut out all the live albums, cut out all the the side albums. Like he's even, I didn't even know if you saw, but he's got that whole Dream Piece thing, where it's just like ambient shit.
Yeah, Ryan was mentioning that. I haven't really checked that stuff out.
I mean, it's cool, man. It's more just like kind of background music. But I mean, the dude produces so much music that you'd have to just stick to the full lengths and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ryan, I'll let you in on this deep dive, but $500, bro. That's all. Just $500. That's not very much. That's not asking a lot, is it? Tell you what, a one-time sale, I'll do it for $250 for you. We'll talk. Let's talk about your channel, Jimmy. What you just did? Did you do a? I didn't get a chance to check it out. Just dropped yesterday.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
What you got going on?
It was just kind of a channel update, just kind of checking in, sort of thing. Kind
of. Are you doing a year end?
Yeah. I mean, it was just
checking in with the guys.
No, I think I'm going to do my own just to kind of have my own kind of video, like real quick. I'm working on my year end list. I think I've got my top 10 sort of ready, but I just kind of wanted to do like a check-in, like kind of show some stuff that I had recently, because I mean, I don't post too many videos very often, so and I haven't had a chance to do
so you only have 10, really?
So. What's that?
Hold on.
Yeah, it's just
I have 20. I don't know whether I'm going to go with that, but
I think I'll probably have 20. I mean, I'm just trying to whittle down at least my top 10 first, and then figure out.
Oh, I got you.
After, but
yeah.
I just wanted to throw something out because I just haven't had time to do like hiking stuff, so that's not going to be until hopefully like January if I could find time. Now that it's fucking full blown winter, and I've got some plans. I've got big plans for the hiking stuff for next year.
Have you guys gotten much snow yet?
Yeah, I mean it's been pretty standard, but it's been cold as fuck. So like I don't know, I'm gonna have to find I'm trying to plan going to sleep in it out, in really cold weather. So I'm gonna have to. I tried to do it last year and it didn't work out, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna do it this coming year. But yeah, man, I mean the rest of the end of the year will just be year-end list, and I'll probably do a stream with the hiker metal guys, to get their stuff in. And that's pretty much it, unless any other, streams come along that you guys want to do, whatever,
Well, so, all right. So what I've got planned this week yet, tomorrow night, I'm actually assuming I feel well enough, which I'm sorry I say it every video, but it's getting harder.
Yeah, man. Why are you hanging in, man? I mean, you're still here right now.
Every day it's getting harder, man. I'm just saying it's getting harder. And I finally got an appointment with Cleveland Clinic, which was supposed to happen a year ago. And they're going to see me on January 12th. But, it's a 6-hour ride out. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to have to go the night before because it's an early morning appointment. I may even have to stay an extra day to have tests done. While I was on Medicaid, it would have all been covered. Now, a shit ton of big bills are probably going to hit me, but whatever, man. I may not be here to pay them, so who cares at this point? But coming up this week, I'm supposed to go tomorrow night to Washington, D.C. I've not been down there in a couple years. Probably 2018, I think, was the last time I went to see Gary Newman, I think, was the last time I was down there. There may have been one other show I went to, but I'm not really coming up with it. But anyway, I'm going to see William Basinski. If you know anything about the disintegration loops, he's the guy behind those. He's a found sound tape manipulator dude. So it's going to kind of be an ambient, interesting sort of set with a lot of cool visuals. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this. I really want to interview him. So I'm hoping I kind of run into him or can somehow talk to him and see if whether he'll come on and do an interview. Thursday at 3:00 afternoon, p.m. Eastern time. John Levin of Dokken is coming back for like a full-blown, at least hour-long interview. We're going to talk his career with Warlock and Doro and getting into Dokken and, you know, does he hate being compared to George Lynch? And, yep, I'll ask it. I'm sure he's not going to be super happy to hear it, but I'll be interested to get his perspectives. Then Friday, I'll take a day off. Saturday afternoon at 6 p.m. Yeah, Saturday night at 6 p.m. Peter from Ireland and I are going to do a dad. We're going to do dad number 14, which is going to be on the Cocteau Twins. Are you familiar with them?
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kind of ethereal, dream pop, sort of shoegazy stuff. Love that band, man. He's taking Bluebell No. I'm taking Heaven or Las Vegas. God, that album is gorgeous. So we're going to talk Cocteau Twins. Sunday, Roger from Norway is coming on. I want to say we're doing it in the 3 o'clock range. So 9 o'clock his time, I think, or maybe 2 o'clock mine. 2 or 3 my time, and whatever, 6 hour ahead for him. We're doing Metal Church for a dad episode. I'm doing the debut. He is doing Blessing in Disguise, which is cool. Because you get a little Mike Howe and a little David Wayne, which sadly both those lead singers are gone, which is kind of fucked up. Both excellent albums, I have to say. Both. I love
Like
them.
Blessing in Disguise. That's a good one.
Yeah, killer album. Then on, I think, the following week, Maddie and I, my daughter Maddie and I, are going to endeavor to finally get that George Harrison dad done Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm not sure which. She is going to do a Dark Horse, and I'm going to do All Things With Past, man. I mean, one of the greatest fucking albums ever recorded in the history of music. So that will be killer. Thursday, Dennis and I are doing Dad, and we're going to do the second 2-for episode. We're going to do King Diamond and Merciful Fate.
Oh, cool.
I've got Melissa. He's got Don't Break the Oath. I've got Them, and he's got The Eye. No Abigail. Wow. How about that, right? So we'll do that. I'm sure there'll be a King deep dive one day down the road that I know Nick wants to be part of that King Diamond deep dive very badly. I know. And then that leads up to Christmas week, which I'm going to spend some time with my kids, because I didn't get to do that much last year. And let me see. I just want to check my schedule. Okay, yeah. So we're at the 21st at that point in time. I don't think there'll be anything on the weekend of Christmas or Christmas Day, of course. And then on the 29th or 30th, I cannot give you the day yet. But I'm going to have, Jimmy, you know this, so don't say anything. But I got a pretty special guest coming on to join me to do a deep dive on a pretty out there, wild, and unusual, unique Norwegian band. I mean, if you think hard about it, you might be able to guess who the band might be. But I doubt you'll guess who the guest might be. Jimmy,
that's going to be one to tune. I'm really excited for that. I'm not surprised he's doing it. You guys, yeah, will do great. But yeah, that's going to be.
I was surprised he wanted to do it. I mean, I hit him up. I can't say it. I'll tell you later. If I talk about, well, yeah, we can't talk about it. Anyway, I'll tell you off the camera.
That'll be good though. Yeah, I'm looking.
And
forward
then
to that.
On January 10th, I'm being joined by Craig Spearhorst, who did the Thin Lizzy and the Rainbow deep dives with me. And I'm about 90% sure Craig LaCicero from Forbidden is gonna join me, and the three of us are gonna do the UFO Michael Schenker, Paul Chapman years. Man, I am stoked for that. That's gonna be killer. The 21st or 22nd, it's looking like Johnny Mack, myself, and Scott Wilcox, a new addition to the stable of victims that I utilize, as I call them. We are going to be doing Marillion, and we're going to do the Steve Hogarth era, which is actually quite extensive, and there's a lot of great albums in there. So I'm hoping we can get that done in one part. I got to talk to those guys and figure out if that's exactly what we're going to do. And then somewhere in there, I hope there'll be a couple of dads. I got a couple left with the people that I've talked to regularly, and then we're either going to cycle back, or I'll try to get some new, maybe celebrity guests to join me, but we'll see how that goes. But I believe on the 14th, yes, Sunday the 14th, my friend Dave, who you met on, did you meet him on Prog Metal? Were you on Prog Metal Island? I can't remember. No, you weren't.
No, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
No.
So Prog Metal Island was my lifelong bestie, Dave Ernst, Ernie Ernst. He joined us for the Metal Island, that Metal Island episode, and for Prog Metal, and that was his first trip, and I think he dug it quite a bit, and so I've managed to coax him to jump in. I think it might just be him and I'll have to see. I might add a third, but I'm not sure yet. And we're going to do Dream Theater, which is pretty extensive. So that could be a long one too. So I got a lot of shit to listen
That's a deep dive or a dad?
Nah, it's going to be a deep dive. Yeah.
Nice. Wow,
that's pretty extensive too. Yeah. I don't know where I'm going to come
I
up.
don't have you on that one.
I don't know where I'm going to come up with all the fucking hours to listen to all this shit, right?
I know you might find you like shit better than I listened to the last one, was really good actually.
You mean the latest Dream Theater?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've struggled with LaBrie for the last couple of albums, maybe since right before Portnoy left. Like
I didn't like anything since Metropolis.
I liked Up Through. I liked Black Clouds. I liked some of Octavarium. I liked Train of Thought. I really liked. I like Train of Thought. That's fucking wicked heavy. But I kind of right around Systematic Chaos, I was like, man, Black Clouds, Silver Linings. I mean, it's bad when you like the disc of covers better than the actual album. That's how it was for me. But we'll see. Maybe that kind of, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm in a different place. Who knows? So I think that's, I don't have any of the January dad episodes planned yet. There might be one more in that, 22nd through, I'm sorry, hold on, I'm in the wrong week. 25th through 29th week. There will probably be one. And if I had to say who it is, I'm guessing it would be either Phil, Chromium Dioxide, or Alan, or Jake with Metallica. Alan and I are doing Deep Purple, and Phil and I are doing Judas Priest. I've got 6 people left on my list of ones that we got to get out of the way. So then I'll probably troll for a couple new people, and we'll see what happens. But I think that's it. I will say that I hit 900 subs.
Oh, yeah.
But oddly, it took a long time to get there suddenly. I've dropped like crazily over. Now, I did disappear for about 6 weeks. So that probably slowed my growth, and you know that from your own sort of thing. It would be nice if people watching this would sub. If you're not a sub, it would be nice if you would share this, like it. Those are nice things. I was kind of surprised when I got my year-end thing that I had 87,000 views, which to me sounds astronomical. And my most viewed video in 2023, crazily, Frank Marino, the interview with Frank Marino.
Okay.
I mean, it's pushing over 2,000 views. It's the best interview I've done, even over Steve Von Till and Luke and some of those people that really exploded. So also, I'm going to. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Instead of a dad after Christmas, I'm going to try really hard to get these guys in. And I want to talk about these two albums real quick before we roll. I got this in. Jim, you got to get this, man.
Oh, the great old ones. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You were talking
this?
about this. Yeah. Yeah.
Got to get this album, dude.
Yeah. I need to get on that.
Gotta listen. You gotta get on it. You'll love it. And this one, man, I really fucking love this thing, man.
Oh yeah. I got that too.
The worm stuff is incredible, man.
Right.
You know, really, really killer. We gotta get these guys on. I'm gonna try. I know Derek's gonna come in, and I believe he's bringing Justin from Dream Unending in innumerable forms. I asked them to ask Slaughter to join us. He hasn't gotten back to me on that, but I'm going to push him in the next few days and say, let's get that done. Oh, and I forgot another one. Fuck, when am I going to get this guy in? Okay, probably first week of January probably first week of January. I've got Hannes Grossman coming in finally. Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh. From Alkaloid, Trypticon. Necrophagia, yeah. Hate Eternal. So lots and lots and lots to talk about with him.
Fucking Blotted Science. Yeah.
Yeah, Blotted Science. So lots and lots to go into with him. And I have several other what I would call pretty fucking huge names that I'm working on getting in. And last thing but not least, this past Saturday night I went out to a show locally here, very close by. And it got me to thinking. And there were two really awesome bands. One called Phase Materia, local bands, young guys in their 20s. Phase Materia, and then one of Lancaster's probably most famous local bands is called Medusa's Disco. And these guys fucking rule. And I'll get you out of here in a sec, Jim. Okay. And this band is super fucking cool, Medusa's Disco. We're going to have all three of the guys on. Absolutely smoking live band. Just absolutely fantastic. Saw them Saturday night, talked to the drummer, Alex Ahmed. My daughter knows the singer and guitar player, Hunter Root, really talented guy. I went to high school with the mom of the bass player. I think his name is Justin. I'm not sure of his last name. Absolutely fantastic band. We'll probably play some live stuff, have those guys come on. And it got me to thinking I might try to start to feature some local bands just to get them a wider bit of, national coverage that YouTube might offer, if that. They have their own YouTube page. I think it's got 1,700 people, but I don't think they really push a lot on there. So it'd be cool to have them come on and talk about stuff, and we'll see how that goes. So that'll be sometime in January, I would think, again. So more interviews, more deep dives, more dads coming. Last thing. I swear, last thing. Friday. I'm going to do Friday. That's what I'm going to do. Friday or Saturday. By myself. I'm just going to do a live. And I'm going to do a third and kind of final for the year anyways. Collector Scum. I got it, man, because I've gotten so much ridiculous amount of shit. Oh, dude, I feel like Nick almost, except for it's mostly vodka. I feel like fucking Nick. I could do a collection update every couple of days now, but I'm almost at the end of it. I got a couple of that Norwegian band that we can't name the name of. I got a few of I got an album and 2 CDs coming in, and I have some Immolation finally coming into my collection, which is crazy that I'm saying that. I got a couple CDs of them, and I think that.
Why is that crazy?
Well, because I just missed them.
Oh,
them and Suffocation, man. I've just missed them. I don't know what the deal is. I can't explain it. I just kind of fucking missed them. And another band I wanted to ask you while we're live here. Do you want those King Gizzard album CDs?
Sure, man. I don't think I've ever even heard them.
So this is the album. I got 4 CDs, and this is the album. Dude, this is the coolest fucking artwork you're ever going to see. I haven't even listened to the album yet. I don't know what it sounds like. It's called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard Petro-Dragonic Apocalypse, or Dawn of Eternal Night. Comes in a slipcase. This is fucking epic shit.
I mean, like I know people that really love that band. Not personally, just like I've never been like exposed to them, but like I've just never gotten around to checking them out. But I mean, they're supposedly great. I just don't know their stuff. Yeah,
the heat in my room.
If you think I'll like it, I'll definitely take it.
Oh, check this out, dude.
Oh yeah,
dude, that's embossed. The artwork on this is stupid. Like it's all embossed and what's the word when you get textured, right? Fucking amazing, man.
Yeah,
and then looking at these guys, you're like, these guys are hippie burnouts. There's no doubt. These guys smoke a ton of weed and just write music constantly, right?
Well, you like it?
I haven't listened to this one yet. This is supposedly their Voivodian, their Voivod homage album, like kind of metal. I have two of the ones I'll send you that were doubles. I'll send you out. You have to send me your address again. Are kind of krautrocky, kind of groovy, Humphreys McGee-ish, kind of rock, kind of psych, kind of garage. I don't know if that's your thing. Yeah, like garage psychedelic. Is that something you have any interest in?
I mean, like I can't really think of any bands that I could describe as that. So
yeah, I don't want to go.
So I would. I mean, you know,
hey, look, they're free. You might as well take them. And
that's why I'm saying, like, unless you got somebody better to send them to, I'll definitely take them.
No, I'll send them out to you. I don't know if poser status confirmed. I got your poser right here, right down here. Buddy,
is he referring to King Gizzard or?
Yeah, the King. Yeah, you referring to
all the immolation stuff now.
Or immolation, yeah. I'm a poser. I'm an immolation poser. Dude. Saturday night. Last thing. Saturday night, Nick was on with me and Marty, and I didn't think to send you, Jimmy. I'm sorry. It was kind of late though when we got started. But I didn't think to hit you up for some weird reason. We were hanging out until the wee hours, probably 5 a.m. And your boy here was getting massively fucked up. Like I got fucking shit faced, man.
Did y'all go live on that, or was that?
Oh yeah, I hit it. I'll send you the link if you want to watch it. It's pretty. I don't know. I haven't watched it. I'm scared to watch it. But Nick was there. I don't know how bad I was, but I did knock a glass of wine over and on the floor. And when I woke up the next day, thank fucking God I put all my albums in plastic sleeves like last week. But I left saying this makes me so pissed. I left 5 or 6 of my very newest and best and most expensive box sets sitting out, and the fucking wine seeped up into them, and they're all fucking ruined.
Ooh.
Yeah. Like,
man, you got to put that shit away if you're drinking.
You can see, like right here, I got the new Ultravox Quartet, and look at the bottom of it.
Oh, man.
See it?
Is it still wet?
No. And you can see here, if you look close, you can kind of see, actually more. Oh, right there.
See how? Oh, that's
more of it.
Yeah.
There. See the bottom. And the worst one is, dude, my coveted. I searched everywhere for this fucking thing and finally sourced it about 3 weeks ago on Discogs for a price that made my balls crawl up into my throat, but I had to do it because it was the cheapest one I'd seen in years. The it's 14 CDs, 4 Blu-rays, Tangerine Dream box set, In Search of 80. Yeah, that looks like this. Yep. $340 I spent on that fucker. And it's kind of ruined. Now, I have all the media. The book is fine. The insert stuff is fine. But the outer case is fucking, kind of semi-damaged, man. And that's all because I left that fucking wine glass sitting right where I knocked it over. And I left it sit overnight. I was drunk enough that I didn't bother to go clean it up. I just left it lay there, not knowing it was sort of pulling around those box sets. When I woke up and saw that, I almost wanted to cry. I was like, come on, man. Like, what do I do to deserve this shit, Drink, I guess. But anyway, man, so, yeah, you everybody go. Most of you guys already probably know Jimmy, and you probably already signed up to him. But if not, go check out Jimmy at Future Ruins. Subscribe. He's got a killer channel with awesome stuff. Yeah, sippy cup. Exactly.
Sippy cup. There you go.
Exactly what the fuck I need. Yeah. I don't. Was I that fucked
I
up?
don't use the glasses anymore. Yeah.
Nick, was I that hammered? I didn't think I was that hammered. I know I was slurring a little bit at the end though.
Yeah,
So-
that glass right there, that's not going to work. If you're
Well,
gonna
that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one that fell up. Now I put it over here on a table up by the TV, but it was on the floor, and I think I got up to get something or.
Yeah, we need to get you one of those like fucking Yeti like titanium things that has the fucking like little.
I was pretty
hoodie
tore
on
up.
it. That
Yeah, I felt
take it over. It ain't gonna do shit.
I felt rough. I had I had 5 beers, all of which were like 8.5s and above, and then I drank an entire bottle of wine, dude.
Oh man.
Yeah, that shit is terrible for my nervous system and my condition. So, all right. Anyways, listen, everybody. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Any final parting words?
No, brother. It's always good to hang with you, man. Yeah, a lot of fun, dude. Looking forward to the new year. Yeah, everything you've got coming up sounds awesome. I've got a lot of stuff coming up too. So,
Do you have any plans to get out east at all, like you were the one time before? Or no?
dude, I really want to, man. I really want to come out to Death Fest, but I don't think.
Well, you know, if I'm alive, if I'm breathing, and we're able to do it,
Oh,
we're going. You're
we'll figure it out. Even if it doesn't happen for Death Fest, we'll do something for sure.
yeah.
The next year for me is kind of up in the air because I'm job hunting and things are kind of, I don't know, in my life is kind of in array a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, for sure, brother.
Hang on one sec. Everybody, thank you for being here. We're gonna
Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining.
And remember, Thursday afternoon, 3:00, John Levin from Dockin. Saturday, Peter doing the dad, and Roger on Sundays. We got lots of stuff coming up. So hang with us and come back and join us. Thanks, guys, for everybody being here. All right. We'll see you, Ben. See you, Ryan. See you, Nick. All you dudes. Thank you. I think Nate bolted out a little bit ago. So see you guys. Peace. Hang on, Jimmy.